What is an immortal, really? They are not much different from ordinary people in terms of cultivation and living. They are simply cultivators, and like anyone else, they are just as greedy for the things they need. In the midst of the battle, the two elders of the ghostly walk immortal sect gradually turned the tide and gained the upper hand. Naturally, this was because Jiang Chengxuan had become a helpless lamb awaiting slaughter in their hands. At this moment, their greed swelled to its peak. They wished they could kill Jiang Chengxuan and seize all the treasures on his body. They even thought to themselves that as soon as they found a flaw in Jiang Chengxuan's defenses, they would strike a deadly blow. The so-called mercy was nothing more than bait. However, what they didn't expect was that Jiang Chengxuan was even more terrifying than they had imagined. The power he was showing now was still only the tip of the iceberg. Despite their intimidation and attacks, Jiang Chengxuan did not feel the fear they expected. Instead, his killing intent soared to the highest peak, and a chilling aura spread out. Even if you beg for mercy now, I won't spare you. Trapped in the ghostly flame sea, Jiang Chengxuan, bathed in the light of the Xuan realm, spoke indifferently. These words caused the two elders of the ghostly walk immortal sect to first be startled, and their smiles froze. Then a cold laugh emerged, and with a disdainful snort, they moved with ghostly speed, attacking silently and without warning. Still stubborn even when death is upon you. Unaware of your fate. Behind them, the ghostly realm manifested. An eerie ghostly power erupted with an astonishing aura, difficult to capture. The two figures, transformed by the ghostly realm, moved through the net formed by the 10,000 ages sacred text, shaking it violently with every movement. But the two elders kept changing their positions, making the air ring with the sound of chains, preventing Jiang Chengxuan from pinpointing their location using this method. Do you think such tricks are something we can't break? How laughable. The two elders of the ghostly walk immortal sect sneered, growing more and more dismissive of Jiang Chengxuan. Originally, with the 10,000 ages sacred text's restrictive chains, even if Jiang Chengxuan couldn't lock onto the enemies, he could at least get a vague idea of their attack timing. But now, this method had been broken, throwing Jiang Chengxuan into an even more perilous situation. In the void, murderous intent brewed continuously. The two elders of the ghostly walk immortal sect seemed to be everywhere, yet they didn't rush to attack. Instead, they stretched the tension, pulling Jiang Chengxuan's attention in multiple directions, waiting for him to make a mistake, and then they would launch a devastating strike. In the face of absolute power, all methods are but illusions. However, at this life-or-death moment, Jiang Chengxuan suddenly let down his guard and murmured into the void as if giving up the resistance. His voice echoed through the ghostly flame sea, like the final words before death. But for some reason, despite the perfect opportunity to strike, the two elders of the ghostly walk immortal sect froze, an inexplicable unease rising in their hearts. Buzz. Then in the next moment, they knew where that unease had come from. Because, in that instant, Jiang Chengxuan summoned an immortal treasure from the Xuan realm. A mist of ethereal blue and gray-white immortal light intertwined, revealing itself in the world. Accompanied by a strange hum, an overwhelmingly domineering aura quickly covered the world. A 9-colored light pillar shot upward, reaching the heavens and the earth, opening a portal to the world. A destructive, decaying aura spread out, and a powerful wave twisted the void, tearing apart the entire ghostly flame sea, splitting a deep chasm through the middle. How is this possible? Immediately, the two elders of the ghostly walk immortal sect, who had been moving like ghosts through the ghostly flame sea, cried out in shock. They were violently repelled and forced out of their ethereal, shadowy forms. The two of them looked in horror at the location of Jiang Chengxuan. In their astonished gaze, that terrifying power continued to gather. What kind of power is this? It's a golden, immortal treasure. He has a golden, immortal treasure on him. At that moment, the two elders finally understood why Jiang Chengxuan had been so confident all along. They now realized what kind of existence they had provoked. They had never imagined that a cultivator at their level, a seemingly unknown figure, would possess a treasure coveted even by golden immortal cultivators. But it was already too late. After entering the late stage of the Xuan immortal realm, Jiang Chengxuan had already almost perfectly adapted to the broken wasteland heavenly scroll. As the vast immortal power from the Xuan realm continuously poured into it, the scroll unfolded at a visible speed. The portal in the void, too, was quickly revealing a strange phenomenon. What emerged was a scene of a ruined universe, with scattered chaotic stars and the flowing of celestial rivers, forming a tree-shaped totem that devoured the stars. Then the desolate heavenly light suddenly grew brighter. From the opened portal, violent waves of light surged forth, devouring the entire world. The ghostly flame sea, constructed by the two elders of the ghostly walk immortal sect, was immediately extinguished in an instant. Run! In an instant, the two elders of the ghostly walk immortal sect went from being arrogant to terrified. Their fear swelled to its peak, and their hearts felt as if they were going to burst from their chests. Without hesitation, the two of them simultaneously unleashed their ghostly walk techniques to their highest level, panicking and fleeing in a single direction, disregarding everything else. Chapter 1769, Immortal Treasure Slays the Enemy, Unexpected Journey 2. In the face of that golden immortal level power, the late-stage Xianxian realm and secret techniques were, as Jiang Chengxuan had said, nothing but mere clouds. Boom! With a deafening roar, the world trembled. The chaotic light of destruction wreaked havoc for hundreds of miles, forming a terrifying storm. Even the mountains beneath their feet were instantly swallowed, vanishing without a trace. Such power, not even the ghostly path could escape from, was tightly locked onto them by Jiang Chengxuan. The torrent of ruined heavenly light swept through everything, tearing apart the void inch by inch, relentlessly pursuing the two elder of the ghostly path like death itself. In just this brief moment, the hunters had turned into completely helpless, fleeing dogs. Elder San, I will report this to the sect master and avenge you. The thinner elder of the ghostly path suddenly gritted his teeth, saying, No, you can't. Hearing this, the other elder, sensing something, suddenly became ferocious, yelling at his companion. But before his words could finish, he was met with an attack from his companion, which had been planned for a long time. The attack wasn't particularly powerful, but in this moment, it was enough to act as a death sentence. Boom! An explosion erupted, and in this brief moment, the gap between the two widened. Damn it, you traitor! It was clear that in the face of death, the thinner elder from the ghostly path was more ruthless. Without hesitation, he decided to let his companion die in his place. This scene left Jiang Chengxuan stunned for a moment, but he showed no mercy, continuing to use the terrifying power of the ruined heavenly light to chase after them. Immediately, the elder of the ghostly path who had been attacked by his own ally screamed in agony. The ruined heavenly light mercilessly swallowed him, and no matter how many secret techniques and immortal treasures he used, they were all futile. The terrifying golden immortal level power was far beyond the reach of ordinary Xianxian cultivators, especially after Jiang Chengxuan's breakthrough, when he could unleash even more power from the golden immortal treasure. Thus, this ancient Xianxian powerhouse, who had cultivated for countless years, fell in just a short time. And the one who killed him was merely a junior at the same cultivation level. Trying to escape, not so easy, Jiang Chengxuan said coldly, continuing to pursue the elder of the ghostly path who had betrayed his comrade. Boom! In the end, with a terrifying collapse of space, chaotic energy flowed through the heavens, and the light of destruction spread everywhere. After a series of thunderous roars, Jiang Chengxuan finally withdrew the ruined heavenly light. What a pity, he got away, Jiang Chengxuan said with a hint of regret in his eyes as he looked at the devastated world around him. At the last moment, though the remaining elder of the ghostly path was caught by the ruined heavenly light, he managed to escape heavily wounded, unlike his companion who had been slain. Ding! But Jiang Chengxuan's mood quickly lifted again, as the cold system notification echoed in his mind once more. Congratulations, host, for achieving the accomplishment of repelling an ambush by cultivators of the same realm. Reward: 1 Xianxian Perfection Pill. Xianxian Perfection Pill. This kind of pill was a regular feature of system rewards, and Jiang Chengxuan was very familiar with its effects. The value of this pill lay in its versatility. For example, Jiang Chengxuan could absorb and refine it right now, directly reaching the peak of the Xianxian realm and begin his breakthrough to the golden immortal level. Good stuff, he said, his eyes gleaming. In a burst of mysterious light, a pill radiating powerful energy appeared in Jiang Chengxuan's hand. It looked like a star, holding a miniature world inside, brilliant and magnificent. After easily resolving a conflict caused by treasure hunting, Jiang Chengxuan didn't linger. He stored the Xianxian perfection pill and the spoils from the ghostly Path Elder and immediately left the area, leaving no trace or fame behind. Although the ghostly immortal had gone deep into the ancient golden immortal's cave, who could say whether he had left behind any means to trace the location of the battle? To avoid such a situation, Jiang Chengxuan naturally decided to run as far as possible. He didn't even search the nearby mountains, but instead recognized his previous position and moved several hundred miles away before continuing his search for rare immortal herbs in the mountains. This time, he planned to explore in the direction of the Cloud Mist immortal clan members and see if he could run into them and meet up. That way, if the golden immortals returned, they could find Elder Yunqi and avoid dealing with the ghostly immortal's revenge alone. Thus time passed quickly, and the sun and moon rotated. Jiang Chengxuan proceeded cautiously and efficiently, eventually sweeping through the entire area of immortal mountains in a single direction. By now, his Xuan realm was filled with countless immortal herbs, enough to fill an entire mountain peak made entirely of them. This was undoubtedly the most prosperous moment in Jiang Chengxuan's history, as the celestial-grade pills he could make with these herbs could cultivate countless celestial immortals. Furthermore, in a certain deep mountain, Jiang Chengxuan discovered materials that could help Shen Ruoyan break through to the Xuanxian realm. After a fierce battle with a guardian beast, he managed to drive it away and seize the materials. But where are the people from the Cloud Mist immortal clan? Why haven't they shown up yet? Amid his joy, Jiang Chengxuan also felt a tinge of confusion. He had been wandering through these immortal mountains for quite some time, yet he hadn't sensed the presence of Yun Tian, Yun Dai, or Yun Zhuang. As he thought about this, a sudden chill spread through Jiang Chengxuan's heart. The sensation passed quickly, but it was sharp enough for him to catch it with pinpoint accuracy. Could something have happened? He murmured to himself, standing atop a mountain and gazing over a vast forest. Logically, he had encountered no danger, and the three members of the Cloud Mist immortal clan were all late-stage Xuanxians, so what kind of danger could they encounter? But Jiang Chengxuan knew that his instincts were never wrong. Since he felt that sudden chill, it meant he had probably guessed something. Should he go to help, or should he not? Jiang Chengxuan pondered this. In truth, he didn't have a deep relationship with the Cloud Mist immortal clan. However, thinking of his connection with the Yun family and Elder Yunqi's admiration for him, and the courtesy shown by Yun Tian and Yun Dai during their journey, these reasons were enough for him to lend a hand. Sighing lightly, Jiang Chengxuan made up his mind. He would go back along the path he had speculated. After all, he had been invited to assist the Cloud Mist immortal clan, so it was only right that he would give his best effort and not stand idly by. Thus, Jiang Chengxuan's figure flew through the 9 heavens and clouds, becoming a beam of immortal light that swept through vast areas of immortal mountains, searching for the figures of the Cloud Mist immortal clan members. Luckily, it didn't take long, and Jiang Chengxuan soon found them. They were in a position too conspicuous to miss. They were inside a massive pit surrounded by mountain ranges, where a crimson barrier like a blood-red sun flickered, its fiery tongues extending for thousands of miles, burning through the clouds. That was a powerful formation, and within it were Yun Tian and Yun Dai. Chapter 1770, 9 Dragons Leaving Fire, the Traitor of Yunlin. Under the scorching sky, Jiang Chengxuan gazed from a distance and saw the figures of Yun Tian and Yun Dai trapped within a formation. Amidst the mountain peaks that surrounded the entire pit, multiple streams of intense red flame power intertwined, resembling fiery dragons weaving through the heavens and earth, forming an inescapable web. The power of this formation was terrifying. Even Jiang Chengxuan couldn't help but feel his heart tighten. The aura it emanated was even faintly approaching the edge of the golden immortal realm, truly monstrous. What kind of formation is this? Immediately, Jiang Chengxuan was filled with doubt. The power did not seem to belong to any of the 4 great immortal sects. He had originally thought that Yun Tian and Yun Dai were trapped by members of the Blood Beast sect or the Sky Sword sect. However, the Blood Beast sect practices demonic arts, and the Sky Sword sect follows the sword cultivation path. Neither of these were related to the terrifying red flame formation that sought to burn the heavens. But soon, Jiang Chengxuan's doubts were dispelled. Around the formation, several figures he recognized appeared. Their clothing, marked with sinister totems, and their malicious aura. These were the BEAST Chinese letter, Mad BLADE Chinese letter, and 10,000 GHOSTs Chinese letter from the Blood Beast sect. He, elders, how do you find the 9 dragons leaving fire formation? Quite a fine treasure, wouldn't you say? Under Jiang Chengxuan's secret observation, the 3 demonic lords of the Blood Beast sect approached the formation, and from behind the scorching fire shield, they sneered at Yun Tian and Yun Dai. Where was Yun Zhuang? It was at this moment that Jiang Chengxuan realized something. Among those trapped within the formation, Yunlin sect's grand elder was missing one person. The person with whom he had once had a private feud, Yun Zhuang, was not among those trapped. Despicable, you dare to deceive me with this formation and launch a sneak attack. Shameless. A group of demonic cultivators from the Blood Beast sect, do you dare face me in a direct battle? Upon hearing the mockery from the 3 demonic lords of the Blood Beast sect, both Yun Tian and Yun Dai were furious. They cursed and shouted at them, their hair standing on end. At this moment, Jiang Chengxuan understood the situation completely. He realized why Yun Tian and Yun Dai were trapped in this formation, and why such a powerful formation did not belong to the Blood Beast sect. This formation likely originated from the remnants of the ancient Golden Immortals cave, and for some unknown reason, it had been taken control of by the BEAST Chinese letter, and others from the Blood Beast sect. Yun Tian and Yun Dai must have been drawn to this place by the formation's aura, and everything unfolded from there. Haha, how laughable, you've been foolish all these years, still speaking such nonsense. Humph, today, the feud between my Blood Beast sect and your Yunlin sect will be settled here. The 3 demonic lords of the Blood Beast sect laughed in response to the curses from Yun Tian and Yun Dai, their expressions twisted with malice. The animosity between the 2 sects had existed for generations, going back to their ancestors. They had just never had an opportunity to confront one another, forced to keep their distance. But now, with the dangerous opportunity provided by the ancient Golden Immortals cave, Yun Tian and Yun Dai were trapped. There was little hope for them. Damn it, shameless, Yun Zhuang, get out here, you beast. Unexpectedly, in his rage, Yun Tian bared his teeth and roared the name of another person who should have been here. His hatred in that moment was far greater than his anger towards the 3 demonic lords of the Blood Beast sect. He almost wanted to tear Yun Zhuang apart. In that instant, Jiang Chengxuan's eyes sharpened, and he suddenly understood everything. And just as Yun Tian's anguished accusation echoed through the air, a shadow slowly appeared behind the 3 demonic lords. The figure's expression was complex, and his eyes flickered with a mixture of emotions. It was none other than Yun Zhuang. Ha! Elder Yun Zhuang has always been a hidden jewel within Yunlin sect. Now, he has cast aside the darkness and joined the light, so why would you have anything to say? The 3 demonic lords of the Blood Beast sect laughed as they looked at Yun Zhuang. In this absurd exchange, Yun Zhuang, Yun Tian, and Yun Dai all remained silent, one side cold and indifferent, the other seething with rage. Yun Zhuang, why would you do this? Why betray the sect? After a moment of silence, Yun Dai, deeply pained and enraged, demanded answers. In response, Yun Zhuang's eyes grew sharp, and after a long pause he coldly replied, "It's because Yunlin sect can no longer tolerate me. People live for themselves, or they face the wrath of heaven. I am only seeking a path for my own survival." From these words, Jiang Chengxuan could easily hear what Yun Zhuang meant. Clearly, the internal factional struggles between Yun Nanfeng and Yun Kenggu had affected Yun Zhuang more deeply than Jiang Chengxuan had expected. After that one event, Yun Zhuang remained the Grand Elder, but both openly and secretly, the entire Yunlin sect began to marginalize him. It wasn't just because of Yunqi's punishment, but also because of Yun Nanfeng reclaiming the position of Saint Sun. At the time, only Yun Zhuang had traveled thousands of miles to bring Yun Nanfeng back to Yunlin sect to support Yun Kenggu's faction. That act alone had been enough to make Yun Nanfeng resent him. And if Yun Nanfeng's faction gradually seized control of the sect's power in the future, the consequences were easy to imagine. Even if Yun Nanfeng didn't target him, others would still have their suspicions and misgivings. However, Jiang Chengxuan hadn't expected Yun Zhuang to be so ruthless and decisive. Seizing the opportunity presented by the ancient Golden Immortals cave, he had unhesitatingly betrayed the Yunlin sect and even turned against it by allying with its mortal enemy, the Blood Beast sect. Such an act could only be described as both bold and cruel. It was precisely because of this that Yun Tian and Yun Dai had never expected such a betrayal, and thus fell into the trap set by the Blood Beast sect, becoming ensnared within the formation. Chapter 1771. 9 Dragons Leaving Fire, Cloud Lands Traitor Part 2. Yun Zhuang, do you know the consequences of betraying the sect? After joining the Blood Demon sect, do you really think there's a way out? It's nothing but a foolish fantasy. In the vast sky, Yun Tian's furious voice resounded once more, causing Yun Zhuang's heart to tremble. This was his greatest fear. By betraying the sect, he had become the #1 enemy of the Yun Lan immortal sect. Even Yun Shi, the sect leader, would take action to eliminate him. To this end, Yun Zhuang chose to gamble. He joined the Blood Demon sect, Yun Lan immortal sect's greatest enemy, hoping for protection from the Blood Demon immortal. However, he knew in his heart that the Blood Demon sect was a ruthless sect of demons, merciless and treacherous. Even if he gained the Blood Demon immortal's support, whether they would honor their promises remained uncertain. Heh, although my Blood Demon sect is a sect of demons, we keep our word, said Beast King, the leader of the Blood Demon sect, with a cold laugh. Moreover, once you two die today, what will the Yun Lan immortal sect have left to challenge my Blood Demon sect? Hearing this, Yun Zhuang's eyes glinted coldly, and his heart was no longer wavering. There was no turning back now. Once he reached out to the Blood Demon immortal, there was no return. In order to secure a future for himself, he would walk this bloody path, no matter the cost. Yun Zhuang, you will regret this, you wide-eyed wolf. You will not die a good death. Yun Tian and Yun Dai roared in fury, completely abandoning any hope of reconciliation. From now on they were sworn enemies, and all ties were severed. We won't die. The ones who will die are you two and the Yun Lan immortal sect. Attack elders. At this, Yun Zhuang completely dropped his facade, his expression turning sinister. Ha ha ha, good. The 3 demon lords of the Blood Demon sect laughed madly. This was the kind of scene they enjoyed the most, seeing someone fall from grace and join the enemy, especially when it was their most hated immortal sect. After a moment of tension, the 3 demon lords of the Blood Demon sect and Yun Zhuang all decided to strike. Their killing intent became apparent, and the sky itself trembled as the 9 dragons leaving fire formation began to activate, with immortal power rising to the heavens, sweeping across the skies. Let's see how you fare against the 9 dragons leaving fire formation. With a shout, the 4 of them, without holding back, poured their powerful aura into the burning 9 dragons leaving fire formation. Buzz! In an instant, a strange humming sound echoed throughout the vast heavens, like the roar of a dragon traveling through the ancient world. The combined forces of 4 late-stage immortal lords activated the formation to its full potential, rapidly amplifying its power. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The fiery red flames surged and twisted, threatening to burn the sky itself. The entire world seemed to be consumed by a raging sun, and red fiery rivers swirled as countless fiery dragons circled and clashed. Shockwaves rippled, warping and melting the surrounding space. Yun Tian and Yun Dai, trapped within this ancient formation, felt the heat intensifying. They could sense their immortal power boiling, and even the sky within the mystical realm seemed to be on fire. Fight back. Even if we die, we'll take one down with us. All right, let's fight these traitors. Enduring the fiery waves from all sides, Yun Tian and Yun Dai steeled themselves, their resolve hardened. As grand elders of a golden immortal sect, they were no ordinary people. In this life-or-death moment, they still did not abandon their will to survive. Buzz! In an instant, the 2 elders revealed their late-stage immortal lord strength. From the mystical realm, they summoned a giant purple moon, its celestial light shining brightly, forcefully cutting through the raging firestorm. With their hands raised, they summoned one artifact after another, all of considerable power. One held the purple vault seal, draped in moonlight, while the other wielded a round moon ring blade, standing on the purple moon divine wheel. Both emanated an unyielding aura. Kill! In that moment, the 9 dragons leaving fire formation was pushed to its limit. From the burning curtain of flames, countless fire dragons burst forth, charging towards Yun Tian and Yun Dai to crush them. The 2 elders, however, were not slow to act. Their artifacts were activated to their fullest extent, and the massive purple moon soared high. The bloodline power of the Yun Lan immortal sect continuously infused into the moon, strengthening its might. Boom! In the blink of an eye, countless fiery dragons collided with the purple moons, causing deafening explosions and waves of scorching light. The surrounding area was consumed in an instant, destroying countless mountains. This battle involved 6 late-stage immortal lords, and with the powerful ancient formation left behind by the golden immortal, the devastation was unimaginable. The aftermath of the battle ripped through the heavens and the earth, with the very fabric of space breaking apart, revealing vast voids. Surprisingly, after Yun Tian and Yun Dai decided to fight to the death, their situation began to improve. Despite the constant assault by the 3 demon lords and Yun Zhuang, they managed to block the attacks, their powerful purple moon artifacts shielding them from the worst of the firestorm. The purple vault seal, the moon ring blade, the divine wheel, and the moonlit mantle were all priceless treasures from the Yun Lan immortal sect, only accessible to the Grand Elders. With their bloodline power, these treasures were far more powerful than ordinary artifacts. The strength they emitted could rival even the Teichu Hungmeng sword in terms of sheer power. It was precisely because they were here to explore the ancient golden immortals cave that Yun Tian and Yun Dai had taken these treasures with them. Otherwise, even as Grand Elders, they would have only been able to take one of them. Yun Zhuang, on the other hand, had already lost his right to these artifacts. This may have been one of his greatest fears for the future. HMPH, you stubborn fools, Yun Zhuang sneered, his face darkening as his hatred completely overpowered any feelings of guilt. The more he saw the difference between him and the 2 elders, the more convinced he became that his betrayal was justified. Roar! Fueled by boundless hatred, Yun Zhuang unleashed even greater immortal power, pushing the 9 dragons leaving fire formation to produce a sea of fire dragons that rained down upon the 2 elders. Boom! The 2 elders, gritting their teeth and filled with murderous intent, activated their 4 artifacts, unleashing 4 purple moons that locked down the 4 corners of the heavens. At that moment, their combined power flowed between them, and the purple moonlight transformed into a vast celestial river, forming a formation that reversed the 9 dragons leaving fire's flames, causing the storm to rage, and as if it were about to overturn the world. Instantly, the entire 9 dragons leaving fire formation trembled, and the 3 demon lords of the blood demon sect were shocked. They quickly activated their demonic energy to the limit, sending it skyward to suppress the changing tides of the formation. This is the foundation of a golden immortal sect. Even from a distance, Jiang Chengxuan couldn't help but marvel. Despite the ancient formation being powered by 4 late-stage immortal lords, Yun Tian and Yun Dai continued to show new techniques and tactics, holding out much longer than anyone had expected. Chapter 1772, 1 against 3, Extraordinary Strength. I really want to see how many tricks you have left and how long you can hold on. Amidst the wreckage of the void, witnessing the persistent resistance of Yun Tian and Yun Dai, the 3 demon lords of the Blood Gate were momentarily stunned, their faces filled with a mix of astonishment and anger. Just a moment ago, they had nearly caught a chance to break through the 9 dragons' fiery formation, but the situation had caused a chill to run through their hearts. This plan had been closely monitored by their patriarch, and it was meant to deliver a heavy blow to the Yunlin immortal sect in retaliation for the blood feud. If anything went wrong, they would certainly face severe punishment from the demon lord. As the battle grew fiercer, the 3 demon lords and the beast concealment elder became increasingly serious. They focused all their attention, channeling their immortal energy into the 9 dragons' fiery formation, transforming the entire realm into a furnace of torment. They pushed the fiery dragon flames harder, roasting Yun Tian and Yun Dai who were trapped within. As the power of the ancient formation intensified and the battle became more dangerous, Yun Tian and Yun Dai began to feel an immense pressure. Their faces grew grim, and their eyes burned with fury. Although they had managed to stave off the demon lords' attacks so far, they both knew that this might be their final battle. Even if they could break through the 9 dragons' fiery formation, how could they possibly escape with the 4 powerful practitioners in the late stage of the Xianxian realm waiting for them? It seemed like a dream to think they could get out. Fight to the death. However, neither of them was willing to give up. Seeing the situation deteriorate rapidly, Yun Tian and Yun Dai exchanged a glance and decided to play their last trump card. Boom! In an instant, they both unleashed their bloodline power, forcibly dispersing a wave of the 9 dragons' fiery formation's attack. Then, amidst the hum of strange energy, they simultaneously took out a talisman each and began to burn them. This was the life-saving talisman that Elder Yunxi had given them before their departure. It's here. This scene caused Jiang Chengxuan, who had been watching from a distance to startle, his eyes shining with excitement. He had refrained from acting until now, wanting to see what cards the two sides still had to play. The golden immortal talisman was Yunlin Immortal Sec's final trump card. Boom! As the talisman's activated, a terrifying power surged out. Nine-colored immortal light flooded the entire Nine Dragons fiery formation in the blink of an eye. The might of the golden immortal level appeared, and for a moment, the entire formation trembled, its flames extinguished. Two streams of golden immortal power erupted, aiming straight into the sky, attempting to tear open a large hole in the formation. Hidden within this force was Xianxia's consciousness. Once the barrier was broken, it would instantly reach his mind and bring him to their aid. In an instant, seeing the overwhelming power of the golden immortal talisman, even Yun Tian and Yun Dai, who had resigned themselves to death, were filled with renewed hope. Their eyes widened in disbelief, watching the force shooting upwards. HMPH, do you really think we wouldn't prepare for this? Ha ha ha, we already knew about your trump card. However, just as the golden immortal power was about to break through, the three demon lords of the Blood Gate revealed extremely grim expressions, laughing coldly. Their cold laughter sent Yun Tian and Yun Dai's hearts plummeting into despair, as if falling into an icy abyss. In the next moment, the Beast Concealment Demon Lord took out an artifact, enveloped in a powerful demonic aura. It expanded above the heavens, as if a dark cloud had covered the sky. Jiang Chengxuan observed carefully and saw that this too was a talisman, inscribed with strange symbols, resembling the totem of 100 ghosts walking in the night. Once activated, it expanded, transforming into an enormous, ominous vortex that blotted out the sky. From within this vortex, a terrifying demonic energy spread outward, and the presence of a golden immortal erupted. It was clearly the handiwork of the blood demon immortal. Whoa! In the midst of the commotion, there seemed to be the wailing of countless evil spirits, their cries haunting and soul-piercing. The full power of the talisman was unleashed, and from within the demonic vortex, strange, long, black hands stretched out. They reached down from the heavens, densely covering the area like tentacles, directly suppressing the Nine Dragons' fiery formation. On the blazing fire screen, an additional layer of strange barrier was laid, completely cutting off the hope of the golden immortal power breaking through. This scene sent Yun Tian and Yun Dai into utter despair. Their faces turned ashen, as if they had lost all hope. Clearly, their final trump card had long been anticipated by the enemy, for when Yun Zhuang betrayed them, he had revealed everything to the blood demon immortal. The latter had prepared for this contingency, and specially crafted a talisman to prevent their plans from being exposed. You won't die in vain, this was the Patriarch's work, heh heh heh. At this moment, the 10,000 Ghost Demon Lord mocked them, watching with delight as Yun Tian and Yun Dai's despair deepened. For many years, the Blood Gate had clashed with the Yunlin Immortal sect, but most of the time there had been no clear victor. But this time, the outcome was certain. What a pity! If that Jiang guy were here, this would have been the perfect time to humiliate him. The Mad Blade Demon Lord also spoke with a cruel, regretful tone. Chapter 1773, 1 against 3 Extraordinary Strength Part 2. Before this operation, they had thought they could completely wipe out their enemies and avenge their past shame. However, they never expected that Jiang Chengxuan would leave the Yunlin Immortal Sex Group, which allowed him to narrowly escape death. Among their enemies, Jiang Chengxuan was undoubtedly the one they hated the most. The failed ambush in the Blood Abyss sect's domain had always been a shadow lingering in their hearts. Oh, so I arrived just in time. As the several demon immortals from the Blood Abyss sect sighed in regret, a familiar voice suddenly rang out from the void. This voice echoed through the area, causing the 3 Blood Abyss sect demon immortals and Yun Zhuang to shudder in shock, their eyes wide open in disbelief. Who's there? Stop playing tricks. Beast Hyde, one of the demon immortals, angrily shouted into the void, his gaze betraying a deep sense of panic. Before they could locate the source of the voice, a figure slowly appeared at the far end of the sky, his form tall and imposing. His expression was as cold as water, none other than Jiang Chengxuan. It's you. You dare show yourself. At once, the 3 Blood Abyss sect demon immortals, as well as Yun Zhuang, Yun Tian, and Yun Dai, were all stunned. Their expressions looked as though they had been struck by lightning, astonished beyond belief. The 3 Blood Abyss sect demon immortals were particularly shocked. Just moments ago, They had been lamenting how Jiang Chengxuan had managed to escape. Now here he was, appearing right before them in broad daylight. Yet there was no joy in their hearts, only a growing sense of unease and panic. Yes, they had hoped for Jiang Chengxuan's appearance, but they wanted him to fall into their trap, to be trapped within the nine-dragon fire ceiling formation. Not like this, standing there, unscathed and unharmed before their very eyes. After all, Jiang Chengxuan was someone they both feared and hated, especially when their ancestor was not around. What's this? Didn't I hear just now that you were waiting for me? In the deathly silence, Jiang Chengxuan's eyes narrowed and he sneered. Seeing Yun Tian and Yun Dai in danger, he knew he had no choice but to appear now. As for why he didn't launch a surprise attack, it was because Jiang Chengxuan was confident in dealing with the Blood Abyss sect. Back then, even when he was in the mid-Xuan immortal realm, he had managed to drive them back. Now, having grown stronger by an unknown amount, why should he fear them? This was the mentality of a true powerhouse. Jiang, very well, you've got some nerve. You wouldn't follow the path to heaven, so now you've barged into hell. Since you're here, you'll join these two fools in the grave. Facing Jiang Chengxuan's arrival, the three demon immortals of the Blood Abyss sect's faces darkened, and hatred surged within their hearts. Killing intent exploded in their eyes as the three of them, ignoring Yun Tian and Yun Dai who were trapped, turned toward Jiang Chengxuan, their demonic energy burning fiercely. Be careful, fellow Taoist, they're prepared for this. Seeing this, Yun Tian and Yun Dai quickly regained their senses and cried out to Jiang Chengxuan across the space, deeply moved. At this moment, Jiang Chengxuan's willingness to stand up for them was already a huge favor to them. Upon hearing this, Jiang Chengxuan slightly nodded, his expression serious, his aura becoming increasingly focused. Though he had once defeated these three when he was in the mid-Xuan immortal realm, today, they were all in the late Xuan immortal realm. This battle would surely be a challenge. All of you are my defeated foes. Whatever tricks you have, feel free to try them. With a cold, mocking remark, Jiang Chengxuan ignited the fuse for this battle. As soon as his words finished, the three Blood Abyss sect demon immortals' faces grew darker than ever. With a fierce roar, they summoned their demonic realms, charging toward Jiang Chengxuan. In an instant, the entire sky was enveloped by demonic energy, swirling violently. The three demonic realms converged into one, swallowing the light of the heavens and plunging the world into darkness and chaos. In no time, the three demon immortals surrounded Jiang Chengxuan, each summoning their magical treasures without hesitation and unleashing their full power in a joint attack. The Mad Blade demon immortal wielded his demon blade, cutting through the air as if to carve open the heavens themselves, creating a deep blood-colored abyss. The beast-hide demon immortal shook his soul bell, and countless ancient demon beast phantoms rushed forth from his demonic realm, forming a black torrent. The 10,000 ghost demon immortal waved his soul flag, and countless grotesque ghosts appeared, raining down like raindrops, swarming toward Jiang Chengxuan to devour him. The three demon immortals of the Blood Abyss sect showed no mercy. Their full power as late Xuan immortal cultivators was terrifying. Against Jiang Chengxuan, they showed no hesitation, unleashing all their hatred and strength. Boom! For a moment, the heavens and earth were overturned. Space itself shattered inch by inch, and the demonic energy devoured the void. Deafening explosions rang out, and everything seemed on the verge of collapsing. Even Jiang Chengxuan couldn't help but feel a sense of suffocation, his eyes growing grave. But then, his fighting spirit broke through the suppression in his heart. With a cold shout, he summoned his dazzling, mysterious immortal realm, illuminating the darkness with a burst of light. The immense celestial power that far exceeded anything the Blood Abyss sect demon immortals could produce immediately dominated everyone's senses. No one could fathom why Jiang Chengxuan, a junior in their eyes, could possess such terrifying power. Everlasting Holy Sutra, Taicha Primordial Chaos Sword, summon. But this was just the beginning. Jiang Chengxuan's eyes flashed with immortal light, and he summoned the Everlasting Holy Sutra and the Taicha Primordial Chaos Sword. A more brilliant and sacred aura shot toward the heavens, tearing a rift of light in the darkness. At once, countless golden runes appeared from his immortal realm, transforming into a starry array of golden stars. The Taicha Primordial Chaos Sword activated its full power, becoming a massive river of light stretching for thousands of feet. The two powers fused under Jiang Chengxuan's will, becoming an unparalleled celestial weapon capable of cutting through the universe's stars. Slash. Without hesitation, Jiang Chengxuan swung the Taicha primordial chaos sword, aiming directly at the three attacking blood abyss sect demon immortals. In that moment, time seemed to freeze, the scene remaining locked on Jiang Chengxuan as he single-handedly faced the three. When time resumed, the deafening sound of explosions filled the air, accompanied by a terrifying shockwave. Countless thunderbolts, demonic energy, and celestial force raked across every inch of space, stirring up the chaos. Even the nine-dragon fire-sealing formation dimmed under the impact of this wave, and the bizarre whirlpool in the sky was scattered, shaking uncontrollably. The storm devoured everything, and even Yun Zhuang didn't have time to join the three blood abyss sect demon immortals in attacking Jiang Chengxuan. Amid the chaos, all that could be seen were flashes of thunder and bursts of heavenly light, and then the shadows of beasts and ghosts, the blood-red abyss scattering, vanishing in an instant. The celestial force from the four Lake Xuan immortal realm demon immortals exploded continuously, surging, flooding over a vast area. As the battle raged on, the three demon immortals of the blood abyss sect's expressions grew increasingly serious, and their killing intent slowly cooled. Why? Because despite their combined assault, Jiang Chengxuan stood firm, facing them head-on, and did not retreat in the slightest. In fact, he was able to withstand every blow, his form unyielding, like an immovable mountain. This was completely beyond their expectations. In their minds, Jiang Chengxuan's strength came from various celestial treasures, including that golden immortal treasure. But now, facing their combined assault, Jiang Chengxuan relied solely on two mysterious items, and he clashed with them without showing any sign of defeat. How is this possible? The three blood abyss sect demon immortals exclaimed in shock, their gazes filled with unprecedented astonishment. This was telling them one thing: Jiang Chengxuan's strength had surpassed their own. But how could that be? Not long ago, when they had fought Jiang Chengxuan, he was only in the mid-Xuan immortal realm. This short period of time, to a Xuan immortal, was but the blink of an eye. Even if he had somehow broken through to a higher realm, how could he possibly match their millennia of experience? This was simply challenging their understanding, defying their logic. Chapter 1774. Fierce battle with the demon sect's treasures. On this chaotic battlefield, multiple auras were recklessly destroying everything in their path. Whether it was the ancient power of the nine-dragon leaving fire formation's fiery force, the demonic energy emanating from the three demon lords of the blood desolate sect, or the incredibly sacred aura of the 10,000 ages holy scripture from Jiang Chengxuan's body, each of these forces was enough to annihilate the heavens and the earth. They were all terrifying beyond measure. As Jiang Chengxuan fought against the three demon lords of the same cultivation level, he found himself surrounded at the center of a swirling vortex. In the torrent of immortal power and the storms, the figures of demonic beasts flickered in and out of sight, the cries of 10,000 ghosts echoed, and a blood-red sea of fire raged in the heavens. Countless changes in the world were on full display as they attempted to devour the solitary light of Jiang Chengxuan. Deeply shocked by Jiang Chengxuan's strength, the three demon lords of the blood desolate sect dared not slack off in the slightest. The power Jiang Chengxuan demonstrated was enough to make the battle, which should have been a mere formality, filled with uncertainty. He hasn't used any of his golden immortal treasures yet. While battling Jiang Chengxuan and consuming the terrifying demonic energy from the demon realm, the Beast Kang Elder and the others were clear in their hearts that Jiang Chengxuan still had his greatest trump card hidden away. It was a golden, immortal-level treasure of attack, one that had allowed Jiang Chengxuan to break through their encirclement the last time they ambushed him unexpectedly. That scene was still etched deeply in their minds, and they couldn't shake the memory of it. However, this time, they were prepared. Though they were wary of the golden, immortal treasure Jiang Chengxuan possessed, they were confident that they wouldn't let him escape so easily again. Elder Yunzhuang, aren't you going to help? In the midst of battle, the Beast Kang Elder's eyes flashed with a sharp gleam as he coldly shouted at Yunzhuang, who had yet to make a move. Hearing this, Yunzhuang froze for a moment, his eyes narrowing as his gaze flickered. He had been wary of Jiang Chengxuan's mysteriousness and didn't want to intervene easily, pretending to guard Yun Tian and Yun Dai on the sidelines. But now, with the Beast Kang Demon Lord personally giving him the order, he had no choice but to comply. If he didn't, escaping from the blood-desolate sect in the future would become even more difficult. However, if he could contribute in this battle, it would lay the foundation for his future in the blood-desolate sect, earning the favor of the blood-desolate demon immortals. After thinking this through, Yunzhuang steeled himself and shouted at the battlefield, "Jiang Chengxuan, today will be the day you die." The next moment, he summoned his own Xuan realm, carrying the image of a deep purple moon on his back, joining the fray. Boom! In an instant, with the addition of another cultivator at the late stage of the Xuan immortal realm, the chaotic battlefield grew even more intense. Even Jiang Chengxuan could feel the pressure increase dramatically. HMPH, today I will see how you all plan to kill me. Jiang Chengxuan's fighting spirit soared, and with no fear in his heart he shouted back. Buzz! With a thought, an anomaly suddenly occurred within Jiang Chengxuan's Xuan realm. A dazzling nine-colored divine lotus slowly bloomed, its petals rotating like stars, growing ever larger. Within the divine lotus, a small tree of vibrant green could be seen faintly, swaying and producing boundless pure immortal power, which continuously flowed into Jiang Chengxuan's body. Immediately, Jiang Chengxuan's aura surged dramatically, rising layer upon layer, until it completely overwhelmed the three demon lords of the blood-desolate sect in Yunzhuang, reaching the peak of the great perfection in the Xuan immortal realm. Hiss! This scene was truly terrifying. Everyone present couldn't help but gasp in awe. Even Yun Tian and Yun Dai, who were trapped in the nine-dragon leaving fire formation and enduring endless torment, were stunned. Although they had heard of Jiang Chengxuan's feats from Yun Nenfeng's accounts, hearing about them was one thing, but seeing him display such terrifying power firsthand, power that even made old-generation Xuan immortals like them feel ashamed, was an entirely different matter. That shock was beyond comparison, surpassing anything they had ever seen in their lives. How is this possible, this aura? Another golden immortal treasure. This child, what is his background? But among them, the three demon lords of the blood-desolate sect were the most shocked. When Jiang Chengxuan's immortal power scattered their demonic energy, the power of the Nine Miao Bodhi Lotus Lamp manifested, leaving them dumbfounded. They were so surprised that they were nearly numb to the sensation. Clearly, the Nine Miao Bodhi Lotus Lamp was also a golden immortal treasure. Moreover, it was clearly not the sword Jiang Chengxuan had previously used against them in the blood-desolate sect's realm. This meant that Jiang Chengxuan possessed two golden immortal treasures, treasures that even golden immortals would covet. Such a thing was beyond their imagination. They couldn't help but wonder if Jiang Chengxuan came from a terrifying family that was more powerful than even golden immortal forces. How could a mere Xuan immortal carry two golden immortal treasures? Boom! However, there was no more time for them to ponder. It all happened in the blink of an eye. Just as Yunzhuang joined the siege and was about to unleash his full force, Jiang Chengxuan, carrying the Xuan realm and the Nine Miao Bodhi Lotus Lamp, launched a fierce counterattack. At the center of the storm created by the four similarly ranked cultivators, Jiang Chengxuan himself seemed like an even stronger storm, almost flipping them all over. With the power of the Nine Miao Bodhi Lotus Lamp, every move Jiang Chengxuan made unleashed terrifying immortal power. Even a casual strike caused the heavens and earth to tremble, and the others felt their bodies shudder. Chapter 1775, Fierce Battle with the Demons, Treasure of the Demon Sect 2. In the midst of this chaotic battlefield, several powerful auras were wreaking havoc. Whether it was the primal force of the Jialong Li fire formation, or the demonic energy emanating from the three demonic lords of the Xianxia sect, or the holy and majestic aura of the 10,000 Ages Holy Scripture emanating from Jiang Chengxuan. All were capable of destroying the heavens and the earth, extremely terrifying. Engaged in battle with the three demonic lords of the same realm, Jiang Chengxuan found himself surrounded at the center of a vortex. Within the torrent of celestial power and storms, the shadows of magical beasts appeared intermittently, 10,000 ghosts wailed, and the sea of blood scorched the heavens. Displaying countless changes, all aiming to swallow Jiang Chengxuan, this lone shining figure. Shocked by Jiang Chengxuan's formidable strength, the three demonic lords of Xianxia sect dared not relax. The power Jiang Chengxuan had displayed was enough to make this battle, which should have been easily won, turn into a confusing and unpredictable struggle. He hasn't used his celestial treasure yet. While engaged in battle with Jiang Chengxuan, expending the vast demonic energy of the demon realm and activating the power of their celestial treasures. Beast or Lord and the others clearly knew that Jiang Chengxuan still had his greatest trump card left unused. That was a celestial-grade offensive treasure. When they had surrounded Jiang Chengxuan the last time, he had unexpectedly used it to break through the siege of 10,000 demons. The images of that moment were still deeply etched in their minds, impossible to erase. But this time they were well prepared, although they feared Jiang Chengxuan's celestial treasure. They were confident they wouldn't let him escape so easily again. Elder Yunzhuang, aren't you going to help? At this point, Beast or Lord's eyes sharpened, and he shouted at Yunzhuang, who had yet to make a move. Upon hearing this, Yunzhuang was taken aback. His eyes narrowed, a glint of hesitation flashing in them. He had been wary of Jiang Chengxuan's mysteriousness, and did not want to engage easily, feigning the role of guarding Yun Tian and Yun Dai. However, now that Beast or Lord had given him a direct order, he had no choice but to comply. Otherwise, if he defected to the Xianxia sect later, it would be far more difficult to survive. Moreover, if he contributed in this battle, it would lay a foundation for his future in the Xianxia sect, and might earn him some favor from the demonic immortals. Thinking this through, Yunzhuang made up his mind and shouted toward the battlefield. Jiang Chengxuan, today shall be your death. Next, he summoned his own mysterious realm, bearing a deep purple moonlit anomaly, and joined the fray. Boom! In an instant, with yet another late-stage Xianxian cultivator joining the attack. The already chaotic battlefield became even more intense. Even Jiang Chengxuan felt the pressure increase significantly. HMPH, today I'll see how you plan to kill me. Jiang Chengxuan's fighting spirit surged even higher, his heart unwavering, and he shouted back with a booming voice. Wham! At this moment, Jiang Chengxuan's mind focused, and an anomaly suddenly occurred within his mysterious realm. A dazzling nine-colored divine lotus slowly bloomed, like rotating stars, expanding rapidly. Within the lotus, a small green tree could be faintly seen, swaying and exuding endless pure celestial power, which continuously flowed into Jiang Chengxuan's celestial body. Immediately, Jiang Chengxuan's aura surged, much to the astonishment of the three demonic lords of the Xianxia sect and Yunzhuang. His already superior aura continued to rise layer by layer, even surpassing theirs, and reached the pinnacle of Xianxian. SHHH. This scene was so terrifying that everyone present took a sharp breath. Even Yun Tian and Yun Dai, who were trapped in the Jiulong Li fire formation, enduring endless torment, were dumbfounded. Although they had heard of Jiang Chengxuan's feats from Yun Nenfeng, those had merely been rumors. At this moment, when Jiang Chengxuan, a seemingly young cultivator, truly revealed such terrifying power, even older Xianxians like them felt a sense of shame. The shock they felt was unparalleled, far beyond anything they had ever seen in their lives. Impossible, this aura. Another celestial treasure. This child, where does he come from? However, the three demonic lords of Xianxia sect were more shocked than anyone. As Jiang Chengxuan's celestial power shattered their efforts, the power of the Naimiao Bodhi lotus lamp manifested. Causing them to gape in disbelief, they were almost numb with shock. It was clear that this Naimiao Bodhi lotus lamp was also a celestial-grade treasure, and it was obviously not the same one Jiang Chengxuan had used against them previously in the Xianxia sect. In other words, Jiang Chengxuan possessed two celestial treasures, items coveted even by celestial immortals. Such a thing was almost beyond their imagination. They couldn't help but wonder, is Jiang Chengxuan from a terrifying lineage, more powerful than even the celestial immortals? How could a mere Xianxian possess two celestial treasures? Boom! But there was no more time for them to contemplate, as the situation changed in an instant. Just as Yunzhuang had joined the battle and had not yet made a move, Jiang Chengxuan, carrying the mysterious realm and the Naimiao Bodhi lotus lamp, launched a counterattack with overwhelming force. At the center of the storm created by the four of them, Jiang Chengxuan became an even more powerful storm, threatening to overthrow them all. With the power of the Naimiao Bodhi lotus lamp, every motion of Jiang Chengxuan unleashed terrifying celestial energy, and each strike caused the heavens and earth to tremble, making them all shudder with fear. Chapter 1776, Trapped in a Crisis, Suppressing the Enemy. Boom, boom, boom. The blazing light from the heavens continued to smash against Jiang Chengxuan's celestial realm barrier, like giant waves relentlessly crashing against rocks, with deafening booms that intensified the battle's sound. The point of contact between the two forces sent lightning and thunderbolts surging through the sky, creating brilliant fire lines in the air, while lava rained down like dazzling yet dangerous threads. HMPH, today I will finally subdue you. Seeing Jiang Chengxuan beginning to show signs of weakness, the mad saber demon lord's face lit up with wild joy. His eyes gleamed with malice as he shouted proudly at Jiang Chengxuan. Die! To thoroughly suppress Jiang Chengxuan, his entire body exuded a dangerous magical aura, eagerly waiting to be unleashed. Without hesitation, he channeled all his energy into the blood-soaked spear-like celestial weapon in his hand. Crackle! In the chaos, the blood and flesh on the spear surged and expanded, releasing a fog of blood that soon engulfed the entire sky, eroding the space with a sizzling sound. In mere moments, the entire world seemed consumed by this strange, blood-soaked flesh, as if they had been swallowed by some terrifying creature. The flesh around them pulsated with magical energy, becoming more tangible and suffocating, suffused with even more blood and eerie magic. The blackened blood began to corrode Jiang Chengxuan's celestial realm, forcing his eyes to narrow in grim focus. His breathing became slightly heavier, and even his connection with the forces of the universe dimmed. Crack! The celestial realm barrier around Jiang Chengxuan started to break apart, giving off sounds like it would soon collapse. The sight caused the beast-covered demon lord and the others to beam with excitement, as they anticipated the imminent success of their plan. Once Jiang Chengxuan's celestial realm shattered, they were confident they could overwhelm him by attacking together with their celestial treasures. They believed that even if Jiang Chengxuan tried to summon his legendary golden celestial artifact, its power would be significantly diminished under the overwhelming pressure of their combined forces. Trouble, this isn't good. Even the two trapped in the nine-dragon flame barrier, Yun Tian and Yun Dai, realized the severity of the situation. The energy from the demon lord's treasures was spreading through the heavens and earth, creating a near-impossible scenario for Jiang Chengxuan. They felt a sense of urgency rise within them. We must break the barrier. Agreed. Without hesitation, the two resumed channeling their own celestial powers, desperately attempting to break free from the barrier. They summoned their family's sacred treasures and pushed their bloodline power to the limit, aiming to pierce through the nine-dragon flame barrier and reach Jiang Chengxuan's side to assist him. Not so fast. However, just as they were making progress, Yun Zhuang, their former fellow disciple, intervened. With a series of hand seals, he struck the nine-dragon flame barrier, causing the flames to intensify and shift into dragon-shaped storms, pouring down from above in a barrage of scorching heat and molten destruction. Roar! In the deep void, the sound of a dragon's roar echoed, and a massive dragon-shaped flame whirlwind began to sweep down, crashing toward Yun Tian and Yun Dai, trapping them once again. Boom! The forces of the two attacks collided, creating a wave of destruction that tore apart the sky, splitting it into two parts, resembling a double inferno. Damn you, traitor, you're a wretched fool. Yun Zhuang, you treacherous bastard, may you never find peace in death. Yun Tian and Yun Dai, filled with rage and sorrow, cursed their former comrade who was now their enemy. The coldness and ruthlessness in Yun Zhuang's actions stung deeply, leaving them with a mixture of anger and a profound sense of betrayal. For myself, and no one else, heaven and earth can curse me if they please, Yun Zhuang coldly muttered, his gaze gleaming with coldness as he watched his former companions struggle. Since he had already chosen to ally with the bloody Blood Gate, he could not allow Yun Tian and Yun Dai to live. If they perished here, the news of his betrayal would be buried for the time being. Ha, well done, Yun Zhuang. Seeing their plan coming to fruition, the beast-covered demon lord and his companions laughed with sinister joy. Without the pressure that Jiang Chengxuan had been applying, their plan seemed to be nearing its success. Don't celebrate too soon. However, among all the chaos, one person remained far more calm than anyone else. Jiang Chengxuan, trapped in a storm of magical energy and the threats of the encroaching power, remained composed. His voice, clear even amidst the overwhelming noise, whispered into the ears of the three demon lords and Yun Zhuang, causing their expressions to darken. Crack! His celestial realm continued to compress under the pressure, groaning under the strain as if it were on the verge of collapse. Once the barrier shattered, Jiang Chengxuan would lose his grounding, making him an easy target. HMPH, could it be that? Just as the demon lord of the Mad Saber began to speak, the situation took another unexpected turn. Chapter 1777, Trapped in a Crisis, Suppressing the Enemies, Part 2. However, just as the mad saber demon lord was about to retort, an unexpected change abruptly interrupted his words. Buzz, buzz. Suddenly, from Jiang Chengxuan's position, a series of strange, resonating hums erupted. A supreme, primal aura spread out as if it pierced through an uninhabited realm, sweeping over every inch of space. Within Jiang Chengxuan's celestial realm, 4 celestial peaks began to rise in sync with the buzzing sound. They were bathed in an astonishing 9-colored celestial light, exuding an imposing ancient aura. At the pinnacle of these peaks were 4 intricately complex and mysterious primal runes. This was the first time Jiang Chengxuan had used the power of the 4 primal runes since acquiring them in battle. And as soon as they were activated, it was as though 4 divine needles had risen to the heavens, channeling vast primordial force into Jiang Chengxuan's celestial realm. This primordial energy was strong enough to form a celestial domain that could last for millennia without fading. The moment this power was triggered, Jiang Chengxuan felt a completely renewed sensation within his celestial realm. Everything seemed to come alive anew, as an overwhelming vitality surged through him. In an instant, the momentum of the entire world shifted. Jiang Chengxuan's celestial realm, which had been on the verge of collapse, suddenly transformed from a state of crumbling to one of dazzling brilliance, far more magnificent than before. This transformation occurred in just a few breaths of time. The 3 demon lords from the Bloody Blood Gate and Yun Zhuang could only see a flash of light, and in the blink of an eye, Jiang Chengxuan's celestial realm had fully restored itself, as if the scene they had just witnessed was nothing but an illusion. How is this possible? For a moment, the 3 demon lords were struck speechless, their eyes wide with disbelief, their throats releasing pained groans. They couldn't comprehend what kind of power could repair a nearly destroyed celestial realm in the blink of an eye. It was nothing short of a miracle. All their previous efforts had been for naught. Despite all the time and energy spent on various methods, Jiang Chengxuan was still unharmed. At that moment, a feeling of helplessness and despair surged through the 3 demon lords of the Bloody Blood Gate. They knew that Jiang Chengxuan's celestial realm had recovered completely, meaning they had lost any chance of challenging him. Because they knew that in Jiang Chengxuan's hands, he still held a golden immortal treasure. Originally, through the use of their sect's celestial treasures, they had polluted the laws of the universe and restricted Jiang Chengxuan's powers, preventing him from unleashing the full might of his golden immortal treasure. But now, with the restrictions lifted from Jiang Chengxuan's celestial realm, the consequences were clear. In that fleeting moment, it was as if they had witnessed a wild beast, shackles removed, preparing to devour them whole. Desolate Ruin Pictorial Scroll Summon. As expected, just as the primal runes stabilized the world, Jiang Chengxuan didn't hesitate and immediately summoned his strongest offensive treasure. In a burst of profound light, a cyan and pale white interwoven scroll slowly appeared, gradually unfolding in the midst of the chaotic storm. In the blink of an eye, it seemed as though the entire world had come to a standstill. The chaotic magic and corrosive forces paused, and a colossal authority descended upon everything, as if a king had arrived. The golden, immortal-level aura emanated from the scroll, instantly filling the heavens and the earth, causing everyone present to feel suffocated. Boom! A path of light tore through the strange, blood-soaked flesh, cut through the heavenly light's encroachment, sliced through the darkened sky, and split the entire world apart. The dazzling celestial light illuminated the entire world, and the destructive power obliterated all the restrictive barriers set by the 3 demon lords from the Bloody Blood Gate. A magnificent and radiant gate appeared in the sky, continuously unfolding with each passing moment, revealing a spectacular and awe-inspiring scene. It was a desolate and broken cosmic star field, where shattered stars were scattered in disarray, and star rivers flowed through, forming a towering tree-like totem, a grand and mysterious vision. The golden immortal aura instantly locked onto the 3 demon lords from the Bloody Blood Gate and Yun Zhuang. They all trembled, and their fighting spirit was completely crushed. They had all faced Jiang Chengxuan's desolate ruin pictorial scroll before, but back then, Jiang Chengxuan had been only in the mid-stage of the celestial immortal realm, challenging those above his level. Now, however, Jiang Chengxuan had stepped into the later stage of the celestial immortal realm, and he was even stronger than them. The golden immortal treasure's power was now many times more formidable than before. Flee, we cannot resist him. The three demon lords from the Bloody Blood Gate instinctively roared in their minds. Without hesitation, they unleashed all their remaining strength and charged toward Jiang Chengxuan. However, they were not making a final stand. Rather, they were desperately trying to buy themselves enough time to escape. Once the desolate ruin pictorial scroll was fully summoned, they understood that from the very beginning, they had never had any chance of winning this battle. Buzz! In an instant, the three demon lords and Yun Zhuang frantically fled, trying to break through the vast layers of space in an attempt to escape the golden immortal pictorial scroll's locking aura. But the road to escape seemed impossibly long. Despite their efforts, the pressure never let up, weighing heavily on them like a nightmare. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, a tremendous rumble echoed, as if the distant mountains and thunder had erupted at once. A shockwave reverberated through the sky. Then, the celestial power in the world began to boil over, burning with intense force, and boundless destructive light poured from the desolate ruin pictorial scroll, sweeping across the heavens and earth. The ominous aura of death surged within the hearts of the three demon lords from the Bloody Blood Gate, filling them with unparalleled dread. No, I don't want to die. The beast-covered demon lord howled in anguish, his face contorted with rage and terror, his eyes bloodshot. As the destructive heavenly light bore down on them, he made a final, desperate stand. It was the talisman of the blood magic immortal, forged through the Bloody Blood Gate, that exploded with golden immortal power, aiming at the oncoming force of desolate ruin. However, in an unexpected turn of events, the golden immortal power surged and engulfed Yun Zhuang as well. You. Seeing this, Yun Zhuang's eyes nearly popped out of his head in disbelief. His heart sank, and he opened his mouth to curse, but before he could utter a word, the combined golden immortal force struck him, leaving him alone in the void. Clearly, Yun Zhuang, the traitor of the Yunlin sect, was now betrayed by the beast-covered demon lord and the others. They sought to leave him behind, forcing him to face the desolate ruins' destructive light alone. This scene was all too familiar, just like when Jiang Chengxuan fought against the two elders of the Yuing immortal sect not long ago. It was clear that the hearts of these demonic and heretical factions were all the same. For Yun Zhuang, a traitor to both his sect and his comrades, such an ending was entirely fitting. He who harms others will always be harmed in the end. No. Thus, under the interference of the three demon lords from the Bloody Blood Gate, Yun Zhuang was the first to be consumed by the desolate ruins' light, his agonizing and regret-filled scream echoing as he vanished. In his final moments, he thought of his past in the Yunlin sect, and deep regret filled his heart. He had sacrificed his life for ambition. Acting on pure survival instinct, Yun Zhuang unleashed all his remaining strength, trying to prolong his life for just one more second under the destructive light. Immediately after, the golden immortal force from the blood magic immortal's talisman swept through, completely throwing everything into chaos. Far off, the three demon lords from the Bloody Blood Gate seemed to be on the verge of escaping. However, Jiang Chengxuan did not let them off so easily. He continued to push the desolate ruin pictorial scroll, sending several torrents of energy from the gate, relentlessly pursuing the three demon lords. Chapter 1778, Counting the Gains, the Heart of the Universe 1. Ugh! At the final moment, the terrifying desolate heaven light tore through the power of the blood magic immortal's talismans. It caught up with the three magic lords of the blood sect, and where they stood, a blood mist exploded. The three great magic lords, who had been so imposing just moments ago, were now like stray dogs, howling in agony as they fell into the void. This sudden reversal left everyone in shock. What a pity! However, as the instigator of all this, Jiang Chengxuan did not seem satisfied. He muttered with slight regret, a pity. At the last moment, the three magic lords of the blood sect were heavily injured, but still managed to escape with their broken bodies. One had to admit that these villains would be a disaster for millennia to come. Buzz! But Jiang Chengxuan had no time to dwell on it. He retrieved the desolate heaven painting scroll, and in the void above, the broken starry sky gate slowly closed, marking the end of the battle. In this battle, Jiang Chengxuan fought alone against three grand elders of the blood sect, who were at the magic lord level. In addition, there was the interference of Yun Zhuang, the traitor from the Yunlin immortal sect. He fought four opponents of the same rank, and in the end, broke through their encirclement and severely injured all of them. These few sentences, if recorded in history, would serve as the shortest but most terrifying account of a battle. This feat would be enough to overshadow the so-called geniuses that were famous in the ancient realm. Even among top forces like the Yunlin immortal sect, no such legend had appeared before. It was no exaggeration to say that even powerful golden immortal experts like Xianxia Ren had not accomplished such a feat at Jiang Chengxuan's current level. The only words that could describe Jiang Chengxuan at this moment were monster. At least this was how Yun Tian and Yun Dai felt in their hearts. Having been trapped in the Nine Dragons fire separation formation and witnessing the entire battle, they had completely come to view Jiang Chengxuan as a divine being. Their reverence for him was no less than that for their own ancestors. In such a dire situation, they could not think of anyone other than a golden immortal capable of saving them, saving the Yunlin immortal sect. Yet Jiang Chengxuan had done just that, and he had done so perfectly. How could this not leave them in awe, their hearts trembling with disbelief? "Please wait a moment, I'll release you right away." While Yun Tian and Yun Dai were still in shock, Jiang Chengxuan had already crossed the storm and reached the outside of the Nine Dragons fire separation formation. Upon hearing this, they snapped out of their stupor and immediately turned to him with great respect, bowing deeply in gratitude. "Friend, you have turned the tide and saved our Yunlin immortal sect from certain doom. Such a favor, this old man bows in thanks. Friend, your saving grace is beyond words. I'm eternally grateful. If ever you need anything, I will be at your service." Seeing this, Jiang Chengxuan did not grow complacent and immediately helped the two of them up, smiling indifferently. Serving the ruler's cause is an act of loyalty. Since we have come together to this ancient golden immortal cave, it is only natural that we look out for one another. These words brought tears to Yun Tian and Yun Dai's eyes, their hearts deeply moved. Though these were words of courtesy, Jiang Chengxuan's humility in such a moment touched them profoundly. "Please wait a moment." However, Jiang Chengxuan did not intend to delay any further. He spoke and began to investigate the Nine Dragons fire separation formation that had trapped the two of them. Without the manipulation of the Blood sect's three magic lords and Yun Zhuang, Jiang Chengxuan carefully examined the intricate workings of the formation. With his current experience, this was child's play for him, and he encountered no difficulty. Just moments later, under Yun Tian and Yun Dai's admiring gazes, Jiang Chengxuan formed several special hand seals and struck them upon the fire separation barrier. Immediately, the searing fire heaven screen stirred with ripples, gradually dimming. In a daze, they seemed to see fire dragons, half real and half illusory, slithering through the air before finally burrowing into the ground. With this, the Nine Dragons fire formation was lifted, and the void became quiet once more. "Dun hahata. We're saved, thank you, friend." Yun Tian and Yun Dai hurriedly walked out from the formation, and once again bowed respectfully to Jiang Chengxuan in gratitude. Jiang Chengxuan pulled them up, helping to calm their excited hearts. "This person is still alive, you two handle it." Suddenly, with Jiang Chengxuan's words, a charred figure was tossed out and fell to the ground with a faint groan. The figure was covered in wounds, barely recognizable, its breath weak, resembling a charred puppet. However, judging by Jiang Chengxuan's words, Yun Tian and Yun Dai were stunned as they flipped the figure over. It was none other than Yun Zhuang, the first traitor of the Yunlin immortal sect. "So it was this bastard. I wish I could tear him apart." "Yun Zhuang, you damned thing, you almost brought our Yunlin immortal sect to ruin." Upon seeing the familiar face, both Yun Tian and Yun Dai were furious, immediately shouting in rage, their faces twisted in anger. In their lifetime, they had never harbored such hatred for anyone. This was because Yun Zhuang's actions had been utterly despicable. Not only did he betray his fellow disciples, but he also defected to the enemy sect, disregarding the interests of his own clan. Such behavior was a heinous crime in their sect, and Yun Zhuang would undoubtedly face extreme punishment to set an example. This was why Jiang Chengxuan had chosen to leave Yun Zhuang alive. Chapter 1779, Counting the Gains, Heart of the Universe 2. Although he had already been rendered useless, sending him to the Yunlin sect was an enormous favor, and the Yunlin sect was more than happy to accept him. Just as Jiang Chengxuan had anticipated, Yun Tian and Yun Dai used their methods to preserve the last breath of Yun Zhuang, swiftly taking him into the Xuan realm and imprisoning him. They once again bowed deeply to Jiang Chengxuan, expressing their heartfelt gratitude. Friend, your deep favor towards our Yunlin sect is beyond words. Such a great kindness cannot be repaid with mere words, but from now on, you will always be an honored guest of our Yunlin sect. Clearly, this promise carried great weight. As the last two grand elders of the Yunlin sect, they were essentially the ones in charge in the absence of Elder Yunxi. With this promise, Jiang Chengxuan could call upon the core forces of the Yunlin sect in the future if needed. HMPH, such a traitor deserves to be executed by all, Jiang Chengxuan said without elaborating further, agreeing to the request. In the future, if he needed to break through to the golden immortal realm, the Yunlin sect's assistance could prove useful. After all, it remained a prestigious ancient family in the old world with a vast foundation. After this battle, the exploration of the ancient golden immortal cave would continue. Jiang Chengxuan and his companions would need to find the core of the cave and locate Elder Yunxi. They first found a place to rest, as both Jiang Chengxuan and Yun Tian and Yun Dai had expended considerable energy in this battle. During this time, Jiang Chengxuan also took the opportunity to count the spoils of war. Jialong Li Fire Array. The first item that appeared in Jiang Chengxuan's hand was the array that had previously trapped Yun Tian and Yun Dai. After breaking the array, it transformed into a disc, which Jiang Chengxuan immediately took into his possession. The disc was crafted from blood jade, etched with countless dragon patterns that seemed alive. Although it was called the 9 Dragons, it actually represented the highest number, symbolizing supreme power and dignity. This artifact was left behind by an ancient golden immortal, and its rank was not low. It was close to the level of a golden immortal treasure. Otherwise, it would not have been able to trap Yun Tian and Yun Dai, who possessed numerous clan treasures. Jiang Chengxuan was very satisfied with this treasure. When he returned to the Wasteland Star Domain in the future, the treasure could be used as a defensive array for the Xianxia Immortal Domain. At that time, even the strongest cultivators of the Wasteland Star Domain would not be able to easily breach it. Also these, the magic treasures of the Bloodshed sect. After putting away the Jialong Li Fire Array, Jiang Chengxuan continued to tally his spoils. The next items that appeared were the magic treasures previously wielded by BEAST Chinese letter, and his companions from the Bloodshed sect. 2 of the 3 magic treasures had fallen into Jiang Chengxuan's hands during their hasty escape, the mutated demon-slaying pestle and the pitch-black cauldron. As soon as they appeared, a surge of demonic energy radiated from them, with black light shooting out, filling the air with an incredibly evil aura. Seal. Jiang Chengxuan remained unflustered. He immediately cast several layers of the Wanqi Xiansheng scriptures, turning them into binding chains that sealed the 2 treasures from the Bloodshed sect. With his current strength, it was not difficult to suppress 2 lifeless items, especially with the help of the Wanqi Xiansheng scriptures. Otherwise, considering the strange power of these treasures, if they fell into the hands of an ordinary immortal, there was no telling whether they would cause any backlash. However, these treasures are important to the Bloodshed sect, but not very useful to me. Although these demonic treasures were valuable, they weren't particularly useful to Jiang Chengxuan. Such treasures required a practitioner with high-level demonic energy to activate their power. Thus, while this was an unexpected gain, it was somewhat unsatisfying for Jiang Chengxuan, as he neither found it particularly useful nor easy to discard. Perhaps I could make a trade. Jiang Chengxuan thought for a moment, and a plan formed in his mind. Perhaps he could find some use for these 2 items in the future. For now, though, he would have to keep them stored away until the right time came. After repelling 2 waves of formidable enemies, the next few days finally returned to a period of calm. Jiang Chengxuan, together with Yun Tian and Yun Dai, quickly left the continuous mountain range and ventured deeper into the ancient golden immortal cave. The outermost area of the cave was the mountain range they had just crossed, which had once been the medicinal garden of the ancient golden immortal. Beyond this mountain range, more dangers awaited in a vast, desolate land. Along the way, Jiang Chengxuan and his companions continued to follow the path that had once attracted Elder Yunxi's attention, a direction leading them toward the golden immortal treasure. They also explored for any potential opportunities. Unexpectedly, they encountered numerous dangers. With their superior strength, they managed to escape each time. For example, they encountered massive sandworms in the desolate land, whose enormous blood-red mouths could swallow entire stars. These creatures had the power to cause stars to fall from the sky and then devour them. The three of them fought with these creatures that lived in the ancient golden immortal cave, and with combined effort managed to drive them off, collecting some materials from their bodies. Later, they encountered a hidden illusionary array in the air. Without realizing it, they were all trapped in an illusion. Had Jiang Chengxuan not sensed something was wrong and stopped them in time, using the black and white orb to dispel the illusionary array, their chances of survival would have been slim. When the illusionary array was broken, they suddenly found themselves near a deep abyss surrounded by dense darkness and an aura of destruction. Clearly, the illusionary array had been trying to lure them into the bottomless abyss, but what lay inside, Jiang Chengxuan and his companions did not know, nor did they want to know. Given the unsettling aura emanating from the abyss, it was clear it was not a place where any opportunity could be found. What is that? One day, the three of them came across a place shrouded in a mysterious aura and noticed a strange phenomenon in the sky. Following Jiang Chengxuan's question, Yun Tian and Yun Dai looked in the distance and saw a towering, ancient-looking screen, gray-white and majestic, rising from the desert. At the top of this screen, a brilliant swirl of immortal light floated, radiating boundless, supreme energy. It seems to be the heart of the universe. After a brief observation, Yun Tian and Yun Dai, with their vast knowledge, exclaimed in unison. Upon hearing this, even Jiang Chengxuan shuddered. His eyes sparkled, filled with burning passion. He had heard of this object before but had never seen it. The heart of the universe was said to be one of the oldest substances in the universe, hidden in the dark and capable of appearing anywhere in the cosmos. It was a rare and invaluable treasure, impossible to find unless one was lucky. Moreover, it was also one of the key treasures needed for breaking through to the golden immortal realm. At that moment, Jiang Chengxuan made up his mind. No matter what, he must obtain this treasure. Please wait here, I will be back shortly. He turned to Yun Tian and Yun Dai and said, then began to head toward the treasure on his own. However, Yun Tian and Yun Dai did not stay behind. They said, this treasure may be more complicated than it seems. Let us go together and protect you on the way. They did not want to compete with Jiang Chengxuan for the treasure, but genuinely wished to help him. Along their journey, the two had benefited greatly from Jiang Chengxuan and had been saved by him multiple times. Their respect for him had grown immensely, and they were eager to repay him. All right, be extra cautious. Jiang Chengxuan, aware of their intentions, didn't say much more and simply gave a brief reminder. He could also sense the extraordinary nature of this treasure. It was likely that dangers lay ahead, and the treasure was not without its risks. However, with Yun Tian and Yun Dai, two of the grand elders of the Yunlin sect, accompanying him, Jiang Chengxuan knew they would be a great help. Chapter 1780, The Bixi Stone Statue, Unbreakable Barrier. In the vast desert, the yellow sand swirled in the air, resembling an invisible pair of hands stirring everything. Beneath the storm, the world seemed on the verge of overturning, constantly shaking. However, the target of Jiang Chengxuan and his companions stood tranquilly amidst the desert. It was incredibly out of place, not something that should have existed here, having been transported by a mysterious force. The cliff soared into the clouds, shielding a large area from the ravaging winds and sands. Its surface showed little sign of erosion, which was highly unusual. Despite the abnormalities, Jiang Chengxuan and his group did not feel fear. Instead, they were determined to succeed. Their expressions were serious, their hearts cautious, as they moved through the air, stepping across the desert storm towards the abrupt cliff and the floating cosmic heart. As they neared, the storm's noise gradually calmed, replaced by an invisible pressure and a shadow that darkened the sky. Cloud Tian and Cloud Dai paused, looking at Jiang Chengxuan. Seeing that he showed no hesitation, they continued following behind. Over time, Jiang Chengxuan had become the true pillar of this group, even though he was originally an outsider. Buzz. After a cautious advance, time passed relentlessly as the pressure continued to build, but to their surprise, they reached the cosmic heart without any incident. Along the way, they stayed alert but faced no attacks, which left all three of them somewhat confused and looking at each other in doubt. In the cultivation world, greater opportunities always came with greater dangers, a universally accepted truth. So, to think that the cosmic heart was just a gift from the heavens seemed unthinkable to them. Be on guard around us, I will try something. Soon, Jiang Chengxuan dismissed his doubts, giving Cloud Tian and Cloud Dai instructions. No matter the risks, this treasure must be obtained. Understood. This time, Cloud Tian and Cloud Dai did not insist. They stayed behind to cover Jiang Chengxuan, preparing their energy but refraining from approaching further, as doing so might become a liability. Jiang Chengxuan stepped forward alone, facing the immense pressure. He remained focused, constantly wary of potential changes in the environment. However, everything remained eerily still, until Jiang Chengxuan was within arm's reach of the cosmic heart. No changes occurred, leaving him even more puzzled. Could it really be as simple as it appeared? Without further hesitation, he reached out to touch the cosmic heart. His domain, the Xuan realm, manifested behind him in the void, preparing to seize it. Buzz. Just then, under the tense gaze of Cloud Tian and Cloud Dai, a change finally occurred. A strange hum echoed as a ripple of space appeared between Jiang Chengxuan's hand and the cosmic heart. Hem. Jiang Chengxuan frowned, his celestial power surging and enveloping his hand. Buzz. At that moment, he sensed an invisible barrier. Even with his immense strength, which could crush stars, the barrier only trembled slightly. Just as I thought. Rather than feeling disappointed, Jiang Chengxuan was invigorated. The presence of an obstacle meant that the cosmic heart was indeed real. Boom! In the void, Jiang Chengxuan continued to pour his celestial power into his hand, his Xuan realm manifesting to its maximum, showing the undeniable power of a late-stage Xuan immortal. In the mystical realm, thunderous explosions seemed to roar at the point where he made contact with the barrier, shaking the heavens and earth. Waves of energy radiated outward, suppressing the surrounding sandstorms for miles. But to the surprise of everyone present, even under the crushing force of Jiang Chengxuan's power, the barrier remained unaffected, an illusion before his eyes, as if it were a mirage. To be clear, this was the power of a late-stage Xuan immortal. World-sacred incantation manifest. This bizarre sight only sparked Jiang Chengxuan's competitive spirit. Without hesitation, he invoked the world-sacred incantation. The Xuan realm illuminated with golden light, ethereal and divine, quickly forming a gigantic hand that covered the sky. Seal. With his command, the golden giant hand slammed towards the barrier. The entire world brightened, a dazzling light casting golden radiance upon everything. This strike was enough to overwhelm a late-stage Xuan immortal, and both Cloud Tian and Cloud Dai needed to use their Xuan realm to resist the residual shockwaves. Hiss. Not even a scratch. However, under the radiant golden light, Cloud Tian and Cloud Dai both gasped in amazement. Despite the terrifying force from Jiang Chengxuan, the invisible barrier only rippled with more frequent waves, still perfectly intact. This astonished them, as the defensive strength of this barrier had clearly surpassed that of a typical late-stage Xuan immortal. Even the 9-dragon fire array, which had once suppressed them, was nowhere near as durable. Chapter 1781. The Bixi Stone Statue, Unbreakable Barrier 2. This scene further shocked Jiang Chengxuan's heart. He had an inkling that this unbreakable barrier was likely the only obstacle standing between them and the cosmic heart. 9 Wonders Bodhi Lotus Lamp manifest. Jiang Chengxuan remained resolute, quickly clearing his mind of distractions. He summoned the 9 Wonders Bodhi Lotus Lamp, adding more power to this mysterious confrontation. Buzz. In his Xuan realm, a faint 9-colored celestial light began to glow. The light expanded rapidly, engulfing the entire world, transforming it into a radiant secret realm. A divine lotus, awe-inspiring in its beauty, covered the sky, with a mystical small tree swaying at its center, continually drawing upon vast celestial energy, filling every inch of space. The immense pressure was so suffocating that even Cloud Tian and Cloud Dai, both at the late-stage Xuan immortal realm, could feel their hearts tighten. They knew that this was a golden immortal-level artifact with unimaginable power. With this artifact, Jiang Chengxuan could face them both and stand undefeated. Suppress it. Jiang Chengxuan's eyes gleamed as he became fully engaged. With a low roar, the 9 Wonders Bodhi Lotus Lamp raised his cultivation to the peak of the Xuan immortal realm. Then, he activated the 3 principles of Tao, transforming them into a sword-like beam of light, resembling a galaxy, which he hurled at the barrier. In an instant, the entire sky was dominated by the blinding light, ripping open a deep rift. Yet something strange occurred again. This terrifying force tore through the space, shattering it inch by inch. The area for 100 miles was swept by turbulent energy, incredibly violent. However, at some point, this immense power was suddenly cut off, vanishing without warning. Above, a scene appeared like the confluence of a river and the sea, one side ablaze with 9-colored celestial light, while the other was eerily still, devoid of any waves. At the junction, wave-like lines trembled, the invisible barrier vibrating, yet there was still no crack or breach to be seen. How is this possible? What is this power? Jiang Chengxuan himself was shocked. Even after summoning the 9 wonders Bodhi Lotus lamp, bringing his power near to that of a golden immortal, he could barely shake the barrier. This was incredibly difficult to believe. Boom! Fortunately, just as Jiang Chengxuan was stunned, the vast desert once again underwent a dramatic change. A deafening roar filled the air as the ground suddenly caved in, and a massive whirlpool of quicksand formed within 100 miles. Huge dunes gathered like an ocean, continuously sinking into the cracks in the earth, raising towering dust storms that blotted out the sky. What is that? Cloud Tian and Cloud Dai, ever alert, cried out in surprise as they spotted something mysterious slowly rising from the whirlpool of sand. A stone-like existence, like a mountain emerging from the sea of sand, caused a great shock. Purple Moon Rebirth. Without hesitation, the two of them reacted swiftly. Their Xuan realm surged with celestial energy, and their bloodlines flared up as they summoned a massive purple moon, a star-like celestial body, from the void. Next, they unleashed their late-stage Xuan immortal powers, firing 2 beams of purple moonlight that fell like meteors from the sky, heading towards the rising figure to suppress it. Boom! The devastating force of 2 late-stage Xuan immortals collided with their target, causing a violent explosion that once again shook the heavens and the earth. Buzz! But something bizarre happened. A familiar wave of energy erupted, and their attacks, just like Jiang Chengxuan's, were completely neutralized by an invisible barrier. What? Cloud Tian and Cloud Dai were stunned, watching as a shadow expanded, forcing them both to retreat. Seeing this, Jiang Chengxuan also stopped his attempts and joined the two in the void. With this situation, it was better not to rush to take the cosmic heart. There was no use in doing so for now. That's Bixie. After a moment, as the chaotic winds and sandstorms gradually dissipated, Jiang Chengxuan and his companions were stunned by the sight of what had risen from the sand. It was a massive stone statue, as colossal as a star, resembling both a dragon and a tortoise. It was none other than Bixie, one of the 9 sons of the dragon from ancient legend. The barrier blocking the cosmic heart was the giant steel carried on its turtle shell. This was undoubtedly the source of the terrifying barrier. This object was likely left behind by an ancient golden immortal as a suppression tool. No wonder it had such immense defensive power. No, it seems to be a living creature. Jiang Chengxuan observed the emerging Bixie stone statue closely. He suddenly felt a strange sensation, as if something was constantly watching him from within his Xuan realm. Cloud Tian and Cloud Dai also noticed, their faces filled with confusion as they turned to look at the massive head of the Bixie statue. Indeed, the eyes, though partially closed, seemed to be fixated on their position. What do we do now? For a moment both Cloud Tian and Cloud Dai felt helpless. This creature was so strange and terrifying, and its defense was unparalleled. Even golden immortal level power could barely shake it. As long as it remained in place, it seemed that even a golden immortal would have trouble obtaining the cosmic heart. Jiang Chengxuan felt troubled for the first time. The methods of ancient golden immortals were extraordinary, and this Bixie statue clearly wasn't something that could be taken down with brute force. Could they really just give up on the cosmic heart? Jiang Chengxuan's gaze flickered as he looked back and forth between the cosmic heart and the Bixie stone statue, deep in thought. This treasure was a rare opportunity, one that could not be found again so easily. If they gave up now, the chance of obtaining it would depend entirely on luck later. He knew that if he didn't take it now, he might never have another shot. For a while, everything seemed to fall into silence. The Bixie stone statue loomed like a towering mountain, blocking all paths forward. But then Jiang Chengxuan felt something odd. He raised his head, and for some unknown reason, the Bixie seemed to be fixated on him. Jiang Chengxuan had a sudden realization. It was as if something on him was drawing the Bixie statue's attention. This might be the key to solving the puzzle and obtaining the cosmic heart. With this thought, a smile slowly formed on Jiang Chengxuan's face. The heavens never close all doors, and in this moment of difficulty, he had found an unexpected solution. He was glad he hadn't given up too early, or this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity might have slipped away. Taoist friends, what do you think? This Bixi statue seems very interested in you. Cloud Tian and Cloud Dai, seeing Jiang Chengxuan smile, couldn't help but ask, puzzled. Hearing this, Jiang Chengxuan's eyes brightened, and with newfound confidence he said, "It seems there's something about me that it finds intriguing. Perhaps I can use that to lure it away and seize the cosmic heart." Chapter 1782, Breaking the Restriction, Capturing the Heart of the Universe 1. Upon learning the method to break the massive Xuanxian statue, Jiang Chengxuan and the others immediately began preparations. The first problem they needed to solve was identifying what the statue coveted from Jiang Chengxuan. After discussing among themselves, they decided that Yun Tian and Yun Dai would take turns using the item the statue was interested in to lead it away. Based on their estimations, considering the enormous size of the Xuanxian statue, they figured it would take around 1,000 or more miles to completely draw it away from the heart of the universe. During this process, they would need to repeatedly test the distance at which the statue could sense the item, to prevent it from losing interest and returning halfway. Since Jiang Chengxuan was uncertain how long it would take to capture the heart of the universe, the entire plan was filled with uncertainties. This was why Yun Tian and Yun Dai, both late-stage Xuanxian cultivators, were chosen to assist, in order to handle any unexpected situations during the plan. All right, then let's begin. Let's try this one first. After finalizing the details of the plan, Jiang Chengxuan's gaze became solemn, and he immediately began to retrieve his collection. The first item to appear in his hands was a mysterious jade box adorned with a dragon and phoenix carving, surrounded by a faint mist of celestial energy. In front of Yun Tian and Yun Dai, Jiang Chengxuan opened the box, and with a burst of fragrant medicinal scent, a variety of celestial pills were revealed, dazzling to the eyes. These were the rare pills left over after Jiang Chengxuan had finished giving gifts to the various sects of The Chinese letter sect, and they were all incredibly precious. Skylight Soul Pill, Threefold Xuan Saint Pill, Great Wilderness Immortal Jade Pill. For a moment, even Yun Tian and Yun Dai, elders of a golden immortal force, were overwhelmed and muttered under their breath, counting the names of the pills they saw. They were unaware of Jiang Chengxuan's identity as an alchemist, and seeing these pills now, they were utterly astonished. Even they themselves would need permission from their sect to use such pills. But in Jiang Chengxuan's hands, these priceless pills were treated like ordinary objects, casually piled together. How could this not shock the two of them? However, Jiang Chengxuan seemed unfazed by the situation. He handed the box of pills to Yun Tian and Yun Dai and said, "Here, take these pills and go." Upon hearing this, Yun Tian and Yun Dai were jolted awake and with great caution took the box of precious pills. For them, this moment felt as if Jiang Chengxuan was showing them deep trust, and they felt deeply honored. Indeed, Jiang Chengxuan did trust the two of them. After all, they had been through many challenges together, and if they were strangers, he would never have trusted them to carry out this plan. Then we will begin. After taking the box of pills, Yun Tian and Yun Dai felt the strong medicinal fragrance wash over them, calming their minds. They first asked Jiang Chengxuan for his approval, and after receiving it, they began to take the pills and flew into the distance. Meanwhile, Jiang Chengxuan kept his gaze fixed on the squinting Xuanxian statue. As the box of pills moved, it seemed that the massive statue, too, was slowly shifting, though very faintly. However, their luck didn't seem very good. Even as Yun Tian and Yun Dai gradually moved farther away, almost disappearing on the horizon, Jiang Chengxuan could still sense that the statue was watching him. Clearly, this box of valuable pills was not the item the statue desired. "It seems it's not this." Seeing this, Jiang Chengxuan didn't panic, his expression unchanged. Following the plan, when Yun Tian and Yun Dai returned and handed the box of pills back to him, he didn't even look at it. He simply put it away and continued to retrieve the next item from his collection. "What's this?" This time, under the curious gazes of Yun Tian and Yun Dai, Jiang Chengxuan took out a few lotus seeds that looked like glass. The lotus seeds shimmered with 9-colored light, and once they appeared, they emitted an incredibly pure energy. In an instant, the air around them seemed to ripple like water, as if a spring rain were about to fall. These were the lotus seeds from the 9 mystical Bodhi lotus lamp, containing unimaginable energy. Although Yun Tian and Yun Dai couldn't recognize them, they could tell that this item was probably even more valuable than the pills from earlier. Go ahead. Still unhesitant, Jiang Chengxuan handed the lotus seeds to them. This moved the two of them again, and they proceeded more swiftly and efficiently with their plan. Boom! This time, as Yun Tian and Yun Dai left with the 9 mystical Bodhi lotus seeds, the colossal Xianxian statue made a louder sound. The dragon's head moved more significantly, and large amounts of sand and dust began to fall, causing the heavens and earth to rumble. Seeing this, Jiang Chengxuan's eyes lit up, and the celestial energy from the Xianxian realm flowed behind him, ready to move at any moment to capture the heart of the universe. Even Yun Tian and Yun Dai felt the tremors from behind them, their expressions becoming excited. They braced themselves, ready to pull away quickly in case the Xianxian statue went berserk. However, just as the tension in the atmosphere was rising, the trembling statue suddenly stopped. As it moved with Yun Tian and Yun Dai, it gradually came to a halt. This undoubtedly disappointed Jiang Chengxuan and the others. With their prior experience, they could easily tell that the 9 mystical Bodhi lotus seeds were still not the item the statue coveted. Chapter 1783, Breaking the Restriction, Subduing the Cosmic Core, Part 2. It seems it still won't work. Don't be discouraged, let's try again. At this moment, Jiang Chengxuan wasn't overly disappointed. Instead, he quickly took out item after item from his collection, beginning yet another round of attempts. Thus, in the hands of Yunchen and Yundi, various treasures began to appear and be exchanged continuously. Among them were not only Jiang Chengxuan's own treasures, but also collections seized from other immortals. For example, the immortal treasures plundered from the archaic blood sect, or the spoils taken from the 2 cultivators of the Netherwalk immortal sect. All these were the lifetime accumulations of late-stage profound immortals, rare and precious beyond compare. Yet this time, faced with all manner of immortal treasures and resources, the Bixi stone statue remained completely unmoved. No matter how many times they tried, it showed no reaction at all, not even the slightest movement. Even more indifferent than when faced with the immortal pills and the 9-fold Bodhi seeds earlier. Could it be? Despite repeated failures, Jiang Chengxuan did not lose heart. Instead, he pondered carefully, as if noticing a certain pattern. It seemed the Bixi statue only showed interest in items containing immense life force. This guess quickly sparked a bright light in his eyes. Without hesitation, he withdrew several jade-green spiritual vines from his domain world and held them in his hand. This time, the Bixi statue indeed reacted strongly, showing movements unseen before. Before their astonished eyes, the colossal creature opened its massive mouth, like a giant crater suddenly splitting open in a mountain range. Immediately after, a tremendous suction force emerged, rushing toward Jiang Chengxuan and the others, stirring the heavens and earth into a roaring sandstorm that blotted out the sun. It's alive, it's alive. Seeing this, Yunchen and Yundi were overjoyed, gathering their immortal power and shouting excitedly. Quick, Taoist Jiang! They reached out toward Jiang Chengxuan, urging him to hand over the spiritual vines so they could lure the Bixi statue away immediately. Yet compared to their anxiousness, Jiang Chengxuan remained completely calm. Smiling slightly, he simply let go of the vines. This scene made Yunchen and Yundi widen their eyes in shock, almost crying out. Without Jiang Chengxuan's protection, the glowing vines were swept up by the storm and drawn toward the Bixi statue's mouth. At this rate, how could they possibly use the vines to lure the Bixi statue away? However, trusting Jiang Chengxuan's judgment, neither of them acted rashly despite their anxiety. Instead, watching him and the drifting vines with uncertainty. In mere moments, the vines were swallowed by the Bixi statue, whose massive face even showed a trace of contentment, its half-closed eyes widening slightly. Why did you do that, Taoist Jiang? They both asked at once, puzzled. Jiang Chengxuan chuckled and explained. Those vines are remnants of a celestial medicine king, not the main body itself. I suspected the Bixi statue would only be truly interested in the main body, so I used these scraps to test it. I see, your wisdom is truly extraordinary, Taoist Jiang. Hearing this, Yunchen and Yundi both breathed a sigh of relief and praised him sincerely. At the same time, they were inwardly astonished. They had not expected Jiang Chengxuan to possess something related to a celestial medicine king. Even mighty sects like the Cloudmist Immortal sect had only heard of such treasures in ancient texts. Yet Jiang Chengxuan actually had one in his possession. No time to lose, this time we'll act for real, be careful. Knowing the answer, Jiang Chengxuan grew solemn. Now the true plan was about to begin. Buzz. Once Yunchen and Yundi nodded, Jiang Chengxuan summoned the power of his domain world and took out an item bathed in golden and green light. It was none other than the celestial medicine king itself, sealed by the eternal manifestation scripture. The moment it appeared, the Bixi statue stirred violently, exactly as Jiang Chengxuan had anticipated. Its colossal body, as vast as a star, trembled, raising a storm across the desert. Go! Without hesitation, Yunchen and Yundi each grabbed the celestial medicine king, transforming into streams of light and speeding into the distance. Roar! At once, the Bixi statue let out a deafening roar. Waves of strange power rippling from its body. One of its legs, thicker than mountain ranges, stepped out, stirring the sands into towering waves. Moving its massive form with a force like a cultivator's shrinking earth technique, crossing hundreds of miles in an instant. Sensing the surging force and pressure behind them, Yunchen and Yundi grew even more serious, focusing all their power to flee as fast as they could. Yet no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't shake off the pursuit of the Bixi statue. Speed up together. Here, Jiang Chengxuan's careful planning truly showed its worth. Seeing the enormous shadow looming closer, Yunchen and Yundi immediately manifested their purple moon phenomena, merging their two moons into one, vastly increasing their aura and speed. Thus, they barely managed to keep the initiative, pulling the Bixi statue farther and farther away. The statue, craving the celestial medicine king, chased after them with a reckless, unstoppable momentum. In truth, this Bixi statue had long known of the celestial medicine king's presence, even buried beneath the desert. It had yearned for the medicine king across the sands and mountains, but constrained by certain rules, it had been unable to act. Now that the treasure had appeared before it, it was utterly consumed by desire. Jiang Chengxuan knew nothing of these secrets, nor did he need to. With his divine sense, he constantly monitored Yunchen and Yundi's movements. Preparing to act the moment, the Bixi statue was lured far enough away. Time seemed to slow as Jiang Chengxuan waited, focused entirely on the barrier's weakening. Finally, after much anticipation, the moment arrived without mishap. Sensing the obstruction fully lifting, Jiang Chengxuan moved like a streak of lightning toward the cosmic core. The previously impenetrable barrier was gone, allowing him to reach the treasure directly. Without hesitation, Jiang Chengxuan activated the eternal manifestation scripture. Golden runes densely covering his body, radiating a holy and vast power. He unleashed a sacred sealing force toward the cosmic core. Buzz! As the restriction lifted, the cosmic core burst forth with a powerful energy, attempting to resist Jiang Chengxuan's suppression. Yet Jiang Chengxuan, having waited for this, would allow no mistakes. With the ninefold Badhai lotus lamp supporting him from within his domain world, his cultivation instantly surged to the peak of the profound world realm. Under such force, the eternal manifestation scripture's power multiplied, forming a miniature golden starfield that wrapped layer upon layer around the cosmic core, pressing down on it like an enormous divine palm, fully and tightly sealing it. Chapter 1784, Subduing the Treasure, Continuing the Exploration, Part 1. The cosmic core itself possessed a remarkably formidable power. Ordinary methods could not hope to subdue it, which was why an ancient golden immortal had sought out a being like the Bixi Colossus to suppress it, sealing it deep within the desert of this ancient golden immortal's cavern. However, this so-called formidable power appeared rather insignificant before Jiang Chengxuan. With the aid of the ninefold Badhai lotus lantern, he had already half-stepped into the golden immortal realm. Within the grasp of his hand, with the combined might of absolute suppression and the binding power of the eternal manifestation sutra, the cosmic core could hardly stir up the slightest resistance. At a speed visible to the naked eye, the object in Jiang Chengxuan's hand glowed like a golden sun. Dense binding force completely sealed the cosmic core, preventing even the faintest trace of its aura from escaping. Roar! Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away, amidst the raging sandstorm, the Bixi Colossus, which had been relentlessly chasing after Yun Tian and Yun Dai, suddenly sensed something and let out a low, thunderous roar. A complicated and conflicted expression flickered across its eyes. On one hand was the long-coveted immortal medicine king, on the other, its duty and mission. For the Bixi Colossus, whose intelligence was limited, this was an agonizing choice. At this moment, Yun Tian and Yun Dai also furrowed their brows, quickly noticing the abnormal behavior of the giant creature behind them. Without hesitation, they slowed their pace and lifted the immortal medicine king high into the air. Like a shining star, the immortal medicine king radiated an irresistible temptation, vowing to completely destabilize the guardian beast's will. Unsurprisingly, their actions were effective, feeling the vibrant life force and energy from the immortal medicine king. The Bixi Colossus wavered once more, the enormous dragon beast shifting its gaze restlessly from side to side. Its conflicted appearance made Yun Tian and Yun Dai both inwardly amused and curious. Thus, amidst the sandstorm, the two cultivators and the colossal beast found themselves locked in a strange standoff. Time slowly passed as the Bixi Colossus stood there stiffly like a punished child, constantly glancing at Yun Tian and Yun Dai, yet refusing to take even a single step forward. This situation, of course, pleased Yun Tian and Yun Dai. Holding the immortal medicine king, they quietly accompanied the beast in the desert, remaining motionless. Roar! No one knew how much time had passed before the Bixi Colossus seemed to finally make up its mind. With an incredibly heavy roar, it turned around and began to leave. Amidst the thunderous collapse of earth and stone, it tread across the surging sands, heading back toward its original position. Not good, it figured it out. Seeing this, Yun Tian and Yun Dai both exclaimed in alarm, anxiety rising in their hearts. They had no way of knowing whether Jiang Chengxuan had successfully subdued the cosmic core. This matter was of utmost importance. If they failed this time, it would be almost impossible to attempt the same trick again. With this in mind, the two hesitated no further. They immediately turned and followed closely behind the departing Bixi Colossus. The fragrance of the immortal medicine king wafting through the air, imbued with immortal energy, constantly trying to lure the beast. Yet the Bixi Colossus seemed as immovable as stone. Once it had made a decision, it was utterly resolute. Even the once tempting immortal medicine king no longer stirred its heart. Instead, it moved forward with unwavering determination. Even when Yun Tian and Yun Dai risked approaching it extremely closely, the beast showed no reaction. Realizing this, the two cultivators sighed, understanding that the creature's mind was made up, and ceased their attempts. Now, whether the cosmic core could be subdued depended entirely on Jiang Chengxuan's fortunes. Boom, boom, boom. Before long, under the powerful thrust of the flowing sands, the towering figure of the Bixi Colossus reappeared at the original site. Following it closely, Yun Tian and Yun Dai craned their necks anxiously, peering through the sandstorm towards where the cosmic core had been. There's no need to look anymore, it's already gone. At that moment, a voice suddenly sounded beside them. Startled at first, then overjoyed, they turned toward the familiar figure. Who else could it be but Jiang Chengxuan? In his hand, he held a golden orb that slowly spun, radiating golden light, occasionally leaking a trace of a terrifying aura. Seeing this, Yun Tian and Yun Dai both broke into smiles, immediately understanding that Jiang Chengxuan had successfully subdued the cosmic core. Ha ha ha, congratulations, Taoist friend. They both congratulated Jiang Chengxuan and handed the immortal medicine king back to him. Ha, thank you both. Here's a small token of appreciation, consider it traveling expenses. Jiang Chengxuan accepted the immortal medicine king, storing it once again within his inner world. And with a courteous gesture, offered 2 treasured immortal pills to Yun Tian and Yun Dai as a gesture of gratitude. However, the two refused the gifts without hesitation, replying, "Ah, there's no need for that. This was all your arrangement, Taoist friend. We merely followed instructions, we don't deserve a reward." Indeed, Taoist friend has done a great service to our Yunlin immortal sect. Lending a small hand is the least we can do. No matter how Jiang Chengxuan tried to persuade them, they firmly declined with righteous sincerity. Seeing this, Jiang Chengxuan did not insist, respecting their heartfelt gratitude. Thus this small interlude came to an end. By a twist of fate. Chapter 1785. Subduing the Treasure, Continuing the Exploration Part 2. Almost effortlessly, Jiang Chengxuan advanced yet another step towards the golden immortal realm. However, following this success, A terrifying crisis was swiftly approaching them. Leaving behind the vast desert, Jiang Chengshuan and the two others journeyed deeper into the heart of the ancient immortal's cave. It was unknown how much time had passed when they finally traversed the barren region and reached a more profound layer of the cave. What unfolded before their eyes was a grand structure paved with endless stone platforms. Layer upon layer of space partitioned the world like a celestial city suspended between realms. In the distance, faint outlines of towering palaces pierced the clouds, and enormous shadows or glowing orbs loomed even farther away, exuding mysterious auras. This must be the true core of the ancient golden immortal's cave. Seeing the splendor before them, both Yunchen and Yundi were awestruck, their eyes shining. One man, one city. From the vastness of this place alone, it was clear how unimaginable the power held by golden immortal sects of ancient times must have been. A place like this must be explored step by step, otherwise coming here would be in vain. Even as grand elders of the Yunlin immortal sect, they felt a surge of fervor, as if they had stepped into a treasury beyond their dreams. Agreed. Naturally, Jiang Chengshuan was equally thrilled. Given how many fortuitous encounters lay, even at the outskirts, the true depths of this ancient golden immortal's domain would surely hold even greater treasures. Without hesitation, the three picked the nearest grand hall and transformed into streaks of flowing light, soaring toward it. Before long, they arrived before a magnificent palace. It gleamed like it was cast from colored glass, reflecting dazzling brilliance. Golden bricks, jade tiles, towering heights, it was sheer opulence. Even just standing at the entrance, they could feel an overwhelming sense of grandeur and nobility pouring over them. Let's go in and have a look. Without delay, the three ascended the steps to the massive golden gates, channeling their immortal power to push open the heavy doors. There was resistance, a residual sealing force, but it was no match for three late-stage mystic immortal experts. Boom! In an instant, the golden gates swung open, revealing an interior of dazzling splendor. The walls and ceilings were adorned with five-colored gemstones and vivid carvings of dragons and phoenixes, all so lifelike they seemed ready to leap from the stone. This is. But as Jiang Chengshuan and the others stepped inside, what they saw left them momentarily stunned. Piled within the grand hall were mountains of immortal crystals and precious jewels. For a moment the three were speechless. They hadn't expected that one of the main halls of an ancient golden immortal would merely serve as a storage for mundane wealth, a slight to the golden immortal's majesty. Such external riches might have been valuable to ordinary immortals, but for those like Jiang Chengshuan who stood atop the immortal path, mere wealth meant little. At their level, the resources they required could not be measured in gold or jewels. They needed rare, fateful treasures. Seems like this golden immortal was quite the thrifty one, Yunchen and Yundi muttered, half laughing, half sighing. Jiang Chengshuan, however, wasn't the least bit bothered. He said lightly to them, "Since we're here, we might as well take it. Leaving it to collect dust would be a waste." Hearing this, Yunchen and Yundi found his reasoning sound. Without further ado, each summoned their inner realms, stirring up whirlwinds to sweep the mountains of wealth into their personal spaces like whales sucking in water. It took a considerable effort, but eventually they managed to store all the treasures, piling up mountain-sized heaps within their internal worlds. Let's move on to the next one. Without lingering, Jiang Chengshuan turned and sped off, looting the palace as effortlessly as a bandit raiding a storehouse, heading for another shadowy structure looming in the distance. This time, after traversing layer after layer of space, the trio arrived at a large, ancient-looking hall. Unlike the previous glittering palace, this hall was built entirely of colossal redwood pillars that seemed to reach the heavens, decorated with rustic lanterns and landscapes carved into the walls. The scene stirred their curiosity. What might be stored here? In truth, they all had their suspicions that the outermost halls probably wouldn't hold anything truly rare. While grand, these palaces lacked strong defenses, clear evidence that their contents weren't of vital importance. Still, they were in no rush. Leisurely exploring could also offer insights into the golden immortal's tastes. Boom! Just as Jiang Chengshuan had anticipated, the grand doors swung open with minimal effort, no significant enchantment stopping them. Inside they saw rows upon rows of puppets, each shaped differently, some humanoid, some beast-like, others resembling demons or monsters. The hall was filled with an overwhelming array of forms. Upon closer inspection, Jiang Chengxuan and the others realized that these puppets were not particularly powerful, mostly at the Earth immortal level or below. Some of the craftsmanship here might still be useful for puppet refinement, Jiang Chengxuan commented, seeing some potential value for puppet masters. Collect them. Yunshan and Yundi agreed without hesitation. In the same fashion as before, the three efficiently gathered up all the puppets, stowing them away. Truthfully, while neither the previous wealth nor these puppets were earth-shattering treasures, they still held utility, especially for nurturing future forces. Let's go. Once again, they cleared out the hall completely and continued onward under Jiang Chengxuan's lead. Thus, time passed as they moved hall by hall, looting everything they could easily access. Although they had yet to find any truly peerless treasures, it was far from a fruitless venture. The ancient Golden Immortals collection was vast and miscellaneous, containing all manner of cultivation-related materials, enough to nurture countless Earth immortal-level forces. Yet for Jiang Chengxuan and his companions, standing at the mystic immortal realm, this was still insufficient. Having emptied all the easily accessible halls, their gaze finally shifted toward the radiant, treasure-imbued zones farther in. Upon approaching the first such treasure site, they immediately encountered powerful barriers. Layer upon layer of gauzy curtains of light wrapped the treasure in countless veils, pulsing with runes and suffused with immortal radiance, exuding immense power. Finally, something worthwhile. Rather than feeling pressure, the trio smiled brightly. This was the kind of protection that suggested truly valuable treasures. Jiang Chengxuan stepped forward first. Behind him, the force of his internal realm surged, shaking the heavens. He raised his right hand and cleaved downward, an attack like the opening strike of creation itself, carving a massive abyss through the world. Rumble! Under such overwhelming force, the countless layers of gauzy barriers exploded into chaotic storms, twisting the surrounding space wildly. Originally, the formation was meant to deflect attacks delicately, using minimal force to counter great strength. But faced with Jiang Chengxuan's brute force approach, the formation twisted to its limits and shattered. Thousands upon thousands of layers of light were torn apart, dispersing into fluttering clouds blown away by the storm. Finally, the treasure hidden within was fully revealed. It burst forth, casting dazzling colors across the entire world. Jiang Chengxuan shifted from cleaving to grasping, pulling the source of the light into his palm. The Sunset Radiance Pill Formula. Glancing at it, Jiang Chengxuan murmured to himself. It turned out to be a pill recipe. Chapter 1786, Racing Against Time, Seizing Opportunities 1. Sunset Mystic Essence Pill, a celestial immortal grade recipe. Sweeping his gaze over the information inscribed on the pill formula, Jiang Chengxuan explained it to the curious Yun Tian and Yun Dai. This was an ancient pill formula from antiquity, belonging to the celestial immortal level, with quite remarkable uses. After consuming the pill, a celestial immortal cultivator could condense a special sunset phenomenon within the mystic realm, greatly enhancing their combat and defensive abilities, including the power of their divine arts. This is a real treasure. An ancient celestial immortal pill formula, what an opportunity. After listening to Jiang Chengxuan's explanation, even Yun Tian and Yun Dai couldn't help but nod in satisfaction, their faces lighting up with joy as they praised it repeatedly. Celestial immortal-grade pill formulas were rare even in the ancient realm. Even in the Yunlin immortal sect, only a handful existed. Clearly, the treasures hidden within these restricted areas were indeed of a much higher caliber, which was the main reason the three were so elated. In that case, let me hold on to this pill formula. You two have memorized its effects and materials. If you ever need it in the future, I'll refine it for you free of charge. After a brief discussion, the Sunset Mystic Essence pill formula was entrusted to Jiang Chengxuan. In the future, if Yun Tian and Yun Dai wished to use this pill, they would only need to provide the materials, and Jiang Chengxuan would refine it for them free of charge. This arrangement was fair and acceptable to both Yun Tian and Yun Dai, especially since, as an immortal alchemist, Jiang Chengxuan naturally had the greater right to claim the treasure. It seems that the opportunities deeper within this ancient golden immortal cave mansion will be even greater. To avoid falling behind, how about we part ways for now, seek out our own fortunes and regroup further inside? After some thought, Jiang Chengxuan proposed a suggestion to Yun Tian and Yun Dai. The opportunities here were extraordinarily valuable. Each one was priceless. In order to make the most of their time, Jiang Chengxuan realized that splitting up was the best approach. All right, we'll follow your lead. Let's each be careful. If any danger arises, we must find each other first. Upon hearing this, Yun Tian and Yun Dai also considered the situation carefully and found no reason to object. Previously, they had traveled together mainly to deal with any dangers they encountered on the way. But after entering the heart of the ancient golden immortal cave mansion and making it this far without encountering major threats, their adventurous spirits had naturally stirred. As veterans of the immortal Tao, Yun Tian and Yun Dai were no strangers to exploration. They bade farewell to Jiang Chengxuan and quickly transformed into streaks of immortal light, each heading off in a different direction. In the blink of an eye, the vast, mysterious land once again had only Jiang Chengxuan standing alone. He watched Yun Tian and Yun Dai disappear, then turned his attention back to surveying this world. Through the misty skies, countless traces of immortal light flickered faintly high above. Seizing the opportunity before him, Jiang Chengxuan did not hesitate. He picked the direction where the treasure light shone brightest and set off. I wonder how far along old man Yunqi and the others are in their battles. Jiang Chengxuan couldn't help but grow curious about the other golden immortals who had been fighting over opportunities since entering the ancient golden immortal cave mansion. It had been some time since he entered, yet there was still no news of them. However, Jiang Chengxuan didn't dwell on it. No matter what, when the time came for the cave mansion to close, he would find a way to escape. After parting ways with Yun Tian and Yun Dai, Jiang Chengxuan soon arrived at another restricted zone. In front of him appeared a vast river of raging heavenly light, flowing endlessly like a great river. Within that heavenly light, clusters of radiant orbs containing rich life force floated up and down. Among the nearby locations radiating treasure light, this was by far the strongest and most dazzling. Its aura was as powerful and brilliant as the raging heavenly currents themselves. Without hesitation, Jiang Chengxuan, racing against time, took a single step into the flowing heavenly light. The location of the treasures was abundantly clear, within those drifting orbs of light. The moment Jiang Chengxuan stepped in, the already turbulent heavenly light suddenly surged violently. Endless waves rose up, mixed with terrifying pressure, crashing down toward him. This restricted area was vast, resembling a boundless river, its edges nowhere in sight. Now that it had erupted in fury, it was as if a dragon king had been enraged, stirring up stormy seas and devouring everything in its path. Yet Jiang Chengxuan had been fully prepared and showed no signs of retreat. To seize the opportunity as quickly as possible, he had to break through the restriction with overwhelming force. Deep down, Jiang Chengxuan had an inkling that other major immortal sects were also racing to snatch opportunities. The closer they got to the depths, the more likely they were to encounter each other. Manifest eternal saints arise. Primordial chaos sword of Genesis, /. As this thought crossed his mind, Jiang Chengxuan's eyes flashed coldly. The scripture of the eternal saints manifested, forming a vast golden star river across the void realm, its stars densely scattered, exuding divine majesty. Under Jiang Chengxuan's control, countless points of golden light converged to form a pair of colossal light wings. In an instant, Jiang Chengxuan's speed soared as he traversed the surging waves, light and graceful like a startled swan, nimble like a swimming dragon. Dodging wave after wave of crushing heavenly currents with an incredible agility, he sped toward the nearest orb of light. Boom, 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 boom. However, this move of Jiang Chengxuan seemed to enrage the restriction even further. Before the first waves could crash down, even more terrifying torrents of heavenly light surged from all directions, sealing off all his escape routes. Chapter 1787, Racing Against Time, Seizing Fortunes Part 2. Amidst deafening roars and tremors, the entire ocean of heavenly light surged furiously, raising layer upon layer of monstrous waves, as if towering mountains were rising and about to collapse. Seeing this, Jiang Chengxuan did not hesitate. He brandished the sword in his hand, surging with the power of the primordial chaos. The sharp blade transformed into a golden abyss, capable of tearing through all before him. His cultivation at the late stage of the profound immortal realm revealed itself. The massive waves of heavenly light that blotted out the sky and sun crumbled like foam upon contact with his terrifying immortal power. At this moment, Jiang Chengxuan seemed not to be wielding a sword but a giant axe that could split the heavens. Countless peaks were directly cleaved in half. The vast ocean of heavenly light was shattered, falling into a rain of shimmering lights. Bathed in the rain of light, Jiang Chengxuan advanced as if there were no one to stop him, seizing the opportunity to press forward along the path carved out by the primordial chaos sword. In a blink, he reached the first light cluster, extending his hand to grasp it. Harnessing his immortal force across the void, he pulled the treasure toward him. However, the ocean of light did not intend to let him succeed so easily. In an instant, the floodwaters swirled, condensing a strange-colored vortex beneath the light cluster. A powerful suction force erupted, vying with Jiang Chengxuan for control of the treasure. At the same time behind him, the ocean of light grew increasingly violent. More formidable forces of restriction gathered, brewing one terrifying wave of attacks after another. Even so, Jiang Chengxuan showed no fear. As the power before him grew stronger, he once again unleashed the primordial chaos sword, transforming it into a dazzling pillar of light that blasted into the vortex. Boom! The explosive force of the heavenly light collided with the primordial chaos sword, triggering a sky-shaking explosion as countless rays of heavenly light were shattered, forming a spectacular reverse current. The churning forces of restriction eroded the primordial chaos sword relentlessly, but Jiang Chengxuan remained unwavering, pouring an endless stream of immortal power into his sword, casting out sword beams dozens of feet long to cleave through the torrent. This was a straightforward, brute-force confrontation. But Jiang Chengxuan, with his current strength, could not possibly lose. As the profound realm he manifested grew more resplendent, the primordial chaos sword seemed to sever heaven and earth, shredding the vortex apart. Thus, the treasure hidden within the light cluster was pulled free by Jiang Chengxuan and fell into his palm. Seeing this, a satisfied smile crossed his face. The golden wings formed by the scripture of the eternal manifestation of the saints flapped once, propelling him upward. Before the surrounding restrictions could converge again, he flew out of the sea of light and landed safely outside. Let's see what this treasure is. Without delay, Jiang Chengxuan circulated his immortal power, unraveling the concealment around the light cluster like peeling silk from a cocoon. Under a burst of nine-colored radiance, the treasure within was revealed. It was a mysterious scroll, emanating the aura of the profound immortal level. Etched with intricate and profound totems, Jiang Chengxuan hurriedly unfolded it, carefully studying it with his divine sense, finally uncovering its true nature. It was indeed a profound, immortal-level treasure, an ancient divine ability known as the Wind Realm Wild Shadow, suitable for cultivators who comprehended the laws of wind. By invoking this divine art, one could infuse the profound realm with cosmic winds, allowing for incredible speed, traveling thousands of miles in a single step. This made Jiang Chengxuan's eyes light up with excitement. Shen Ruyan, who cultivated the primordial wind Tao, would find this technique perfect as a gift once she stepped into the profound immortal realm. Let's keep going. This truly is the dreamland of all cultivators, the ancient golden immortal's abode. Looking around at the endless treasures, Jiang Chengxuan was completely exhilarated. Where else in the world could one find such abundant fortunes? Perhaps only the top auction house vaults of the ancient worlds, but those places were guarded by multiple golden immortal-level factions, untouchable for ordinary immortals. Here, however, was different, the ancient golden immortal's abode, where treasures were unclaimed and free for the taking. How could one not be overjoyed? Ding! At that moment, just as Jiang Chengxuan was about to plunge into the next restricted area, a cold, mechanical voice suddenly rang out in his mind. He was startled for a moment before bursting into joy. Wasn't this the voice of his system? The meaning was clear, without needing further explanation. System notification, host achievement unlocked, collect 10 profound immortal treasures in the ancient golden immortal's abode. Current progress, 20%. Upon hearing this, Jiang Chengxuan almost laughed out loud. Receiving a system task at a time like this was like picking treasures off the ground. Consider it done. He chuckled softly. With a flap of his radiant wings, he transformed into a streak of light, soaring forward like an eagle diving into a raging sea. In an instant, the tremendous forces of restriction came surging back with unmatched momentum, as if thoroughly enraged by Jiang Chengxuan's earlier theft. From all directions, 10,000-foot-high tidal waves rose up, each wave brimming with lethal force, converging like a giant lotus closing its petals tightly around him. In the blink of an eye, Xianxia was plunged into a chaotic and bizarre space, with terrifying pressure crushing from every side, shattering inch after inch of the void. Yet instead of fear, this only ignited his fighting spirit. In the next instant, he unleashed his full power without restraint, summoning the nine-wonder Bodhi lotus lamp, which burst into brilliant bloom. The nine-colored lotus petals overlapped with the surging waves, one force suppressed downward, the other blossomed upward, each refusing to yield. Within it, the small Bodhi tree at the center of the lamp swayed, releasing vast immortal power. Xianxia's aura instantly surged, stepping into the peak of the profound immortal realm. With his gaze sharpening, Xianxia unleashed the full might of both his own strength and the nine-wonder Bodhi lotus lamp, creating a force so vast it could support the collapsing heavens. This force was even more terrifying than before, overwhelming even the resurging restrictions. The restriction's upper limit was barely at the golden immortal level, no match now for Xianxia's overwhelming might. The closing lotus petals were slowly pried open, revealing the light of the nine heavens. But Xianxia's goal was not to destroy this place, that would only slow him down. Seeing the breach forced open, he didn't linger. With a burst of golden light from his wings, he shot upward toward the skies. Glancing back, he saw the heavenly light condensed into a mountainous mass, with a gap torn open by his strength. With a wave of his hand, Xianxian recalled the nine-wonder Bodhi lotus lamp, which transformed into a misty nine-colored orb that hovered behind him. Boom! Boom! Without Xianxia's suppression, the amassed restrictive power exploded in full force, blasting the area into utter nothingness. The terrifying shockwaves made the entire world tremble, with chaos raging violently. But Xianxian was already long gone. Without hesitation, he locked onto another light cluster amidst the chaos and shot toward it like a meteor. This time, the light cluster once again formed a vortex to resist him. But under the empowerment of the nine-wonder Bodhi lotus lamp, Xianxia's power had become even more terrifying. The thick immortal light around him dragged the entire vortex outward like a cyclone, which was then torn apart by sheer force. The light cluster broke free from its restraints and fell into Xianxia's hand. However, this time, Xianxian didn't retreat as before. Instead, he pushed forward aggressively, ignoring the backlash of the restrictions, and rushed toward the next treasure. Previously, he had exited only to check the treasure's grade. Now there was no need for that anymore. Chapter 1788, Xianxia, a martial encounter. Within the ancient golden immortals cave, a realm fraught with countless dangers and opportunities, Xianxian continuously used his methods, battling against the various prohibitions and forces, seizing resources and racing against time. He recklessly expended vast amounts of immortal energy, creating storms that shook the very heart of the ancient golden immortals cave, resembling a world-destroying demon god. Meanwhile, in other parts of the cave, Yun Tian and Yun Dai also found places where treasures blazed with heavenly light. They fought and clashed fiercely, each using every technique at their disposal for their respective opportunities. In this treasure-filled world, every cultivator who arrived would go mad, trying to collect any treasure that their eyes could see. At the same time, as Xianxian and the others reached the peak of their combat, across the ancient golden immortal secret realm, forces from all the various immortal sects were also making their presence known. In a certain restricted area, astonishing sword light filled the air, densely scattered like raindrops falling from the heavens, filling every inch of space. It tore apart multiple layers of blocks, cutting open vast swathes of emptiness. The sword light was as white as snow, with a cold gleam flashing. Each time the light flickered between light and dark, it was as if thunder was splitting the sky, and the destructive force overwhelmed everything, shattering all obstructions. At the end of the sword light stood a cultivator clad in tight-fitting robes. His appearance was middle-aged, expressionless, with sword-like brows pointing towards the heavens, exuding an aura of boundless arrogance. Before this middle-aged sword cultivator stood a towering giant. Its body seemed to be made of liquid metal, extraordinarily tough, with terrifying strength in its punches. The mountainous arms stretched out with such force that they could tear apart space and create a storm. This giant was a guardian of the treasure, and behind it, an otherworldly aura of immortal light shimmered, shining with brilliance. Before this giant stood none other than one of the great elders of the heavenly sword immortal sect, Xianxia Audiobook, a legendary figure from the ancient realm with a well-known reputation. At this moment, under his relentless suppression, the giant guarding the treasure was already covered in wounds. One sword mark after another was deeply etched into its body, and the laws of the Tao clung to it like a festering poison, gradually consuming its life force. "Scoundrel, with this strike kneel before me," Xianxia's voice boomed, filled with dominance. Sword intent surged from the depths of the Xuan realm, with towering sword blades piercing the heavens and skies. The sharp sword intent turned into a cascading waterfall, reversing the flow of the heavens, infused with the power to sever all things. This power poured into Xianxia's immortal sword, which he wielded with unrelenting force. In an instant, the might of a late-stage Xuan immortal was fully revealed. The terrifying sword light devoured everything in its path, and space shattered inch by inch under its onslaught. In the blink of an eye, it split the void, slashing down upon the metallic giant. Boom! With a strange humming sound, the sword's resonance spread across 100 miles, and in the next moment, the blazing sword light receded. The giant's broken body was finally cleaved in two by Xianxia's sword, turning into molten metal that splattered across the heavens, shrouding everything in a cloud of smoke. Whoosh! A slender arm waved, and invisible immortal energy coalesced into a sharp blade, cutting through the smoke and revealing the treasure hidden beneath. Xianxia's grasped it in his palm. Feeling the extraordinary aura of the treasure, Xianxia's nodded in satisfaction. He glanced around and murmured, "Another Xuan immortal treasure. This ancient golden immortal cave is truly remarkable. It was worth splitting our forces." The heavenly sword immortal sect had only recently arrived at the heart of the ancient golden immortal cave. After some exploration, they adopted the same strategy as Jiang Chengxuan and the others to claim more immortal treasures. Indeed, they had gathered several Xuan immortal-grade treasures along the way, which greatly pleased Xianxia's. After checking their spoils, he quickly selected his next target. In the far-off horizon, he saw a vast array of immortal light swirling and emitting an incredibly powerful aura, carrying a deadly temptation. Without a doubt, in such places, the more intense the heavenly light, the more precious the treasure. Without hesitation, Xianxia's unsheathed his immortal sword and placed it beneath his feet. In an instant, the sword intent cleaved a path through the celestial curtain above, and with speed faster than lightning, he soared toward the source of the light. Before long, he arrived near the source, witnessing immense celestial waves crashing through the void, creating terrifying storms. This scene made Xianxia's furrow his brow, as it was clear that something unexpected had occurred at this location. Boom! Before he could think further, the celestial light surged, and within it, thunder exploded. Astonishing immortal power erupted, shaking the heavens and earth with an ear-splitting roar. Xianxia's pupils contracted as he saw a figure, similarly wielding a sword, shaking the wings of light behind them. The figure swung their glowing sword, continuously slashing through one peak after another, as if fighting against the tidal waves. Such a breathtaking scene caused even Xianxia's to be stunned. He could feel the intense, terrifying power and the deadly peril within the restrictive forces. Someone from the Yunlan immortal sect. As he observed the figure battling the restrictive forces, Xianxia's mind raced, and he finally identified the person. Could it be Jiang Chengxuan, who had not been seen in the company of the Yunlan immortal sects group earlier? Chapter 1789. Xianxia's, a duel part 2. Naturally, there are no incompetent beings here. It was clear that the treasure area that Xianxia's had set his sights on had already been claimed by Jiang Chengxuan. However, seeing the several glowing orbs hidden within the formation, Xianxia's couldn't help but struggle, unwilling to give up easily. Boom! Before he could think further, Jiang Chengxuan also sensed the sudden arrival of an uninvited guest. In an instant, he activated his Xuanji power, triggering another terrifying collision within the formation. His entire body was sent flying out, using the force to temporarily pause his battle and move outside the formation. "Who are you?" Jiang Chengxuan, his body surrounded by blazing immortal power, his eyes gleaming with divine light, looked at Xianxia's and asked without hesitation. Despite the fact that the ancient golden immortal cave was a lawless place, Jiang Chengxuan's temperament was not one to attack upon seeing someone. "I am Ao Jian of the Tianjian immortal sect. I came here following the strange fluctuations of the celestial light." Ao Jian Xuan Zun responded calmly, his face serious, showing no change in his expression. This was an unexpected and sensitive meeting. Though they were both cultivators of the same realm, Jiang Chengxuan was a newcomer, and the two were practically strangers to each other. If it were Yun Tian and Yun Dai, perhaps they could have exchanged a few words with Ao Jian Xuan Zun, since they had spent many years in the ancient realm and had met him before. Fortunately, the Tianjian immortal sect was a righteous sect, and Ao Jian Xuan Zun was not like those from the Ghost Walk immortal sect, who might have attacked without warning. Of course, this might also be due to Ao Jian Xuan Zun recognizing Jiang Chengxuan's extraordinary strength. For the time being, aside from the continuous fluctuations of the celestial light and the roaring waves, the world was quiet. Both Jiang Chengxuan and Ao Jian Xuan Zun sized each other up, neither making a move. "I've already explored this area for quite some time. Wouldn't it be better if you sought another place?" Jiang Chengxuan broke the silence, his gaze sharp as he spoke. He could tell that Ao Jian Xuan Zun wasn't keen on leaving just yet, but Jiang Chengxuan didn't want to waste time, so he directly addressed the issue. As expected, upon hearing this, Ao Jian Xuan Zun's eyes flickered. He didn't immediately respond but began to ponder something. After a moment he spoke in a deep voice. "I noticed your impressive swordsmanship within the formation earlier. I would like to ask for your guidance if possible." Upon hearing these words, Jiang Chengxuan's eyes narrowed. He understood the underlying meaning immediately. Clearly, this treasure trove was filled with many valuable items, and Ao Jian Xuan Zun was eager to claim some of them. However, he was still rational enough to not wish for a deadly confrontation with Jiang Chengxuan. Instead, he wanted to spar to determine who would have the right to claim the area. If Jiang Chengxuan refused, Ao Jian Xuan Zun would have no reason to leave without a fight. "Since you are interested, I, Jiang, am happy to oblige," Jiang Chengxuan responded without hesitation, his demeanor calm and composed, showing no sign of fear or concern. His nonchalant attitude made Ao Jian Xuan Zun's eyes narrow. Clearly, Jiang Chengxuan's confidence had risen in his estimation. However, Ao Jian Xuan Zun did not retreat because of Jiang Chengxuan's overwhelming confidence. The treasures in this place belonged to the worthy, and while he had no desire to steal what Jiang Chengxuan had already claimed, he was eager to take anything that remained unclaimed. It was only natural, and no one could fault him for that. Thus, this duel was, in theory, a fair one. There were no personal grudges, but the stakes were high, and the battle would be fierce, with enormous benefits at play. Moreover, as a disciple of the Tianjian immortal sect, Ao Jian Xuan Zun relished competing with strong opponents. This was one of the main reasons he insisted on contesting this territory with Jiang Chengxuan. Without further words, the duel was set. Suddenly, the world fell into silence, the air thick with tension. The moment was so charged that it felt as if a storm was bearing down on both of them. Within the Xuanji, both their powers exploded to the fullest extent. The spaces around them seemed to bend and crack as two worlds, dazzling with Xuan force, unfolded in the void, taking up half the sky. Within their respective Xuanji, the laws of power flowed and intertwined. One was an ocean of vast and majestic energy, while the other was the sharpest sword intent, as if ready to split the heavens. "Please enlighten me." In a split second, the sound had not yet reached the ears, but the sword light had already slashed through the sky. Ao Jian Xuan Zun chose to break the deadlock, his celestial sword carrying terrifying sword intent, slashing through the sky with a force capable of splitting apart the heavens. In the blink of an eye, the silence shattered as he was already before Jiang Chengxuan. The overwhelming pressure from the attack forced Jiang Chengxuan to react without hesitation. He knew the Tianjian disciples specialized in swordsmanship, excelling in offensive and destructive techniques. Reacting swiftly, Jiang Chengxuan wielded his Teichu Hongmeng sword, which coiled like a mystical serpent and met the oncoming attack head-on. In the next moment, his aura as a late-stage Xuan immortal burst forth. The two celestial swords clashed without deviation, one shining brilliantly, the other sharp as a blade, seemingly capable of splitting the world in two. Boom! The earth-shattering explosion reverberated through the heavens and the earth, and both combatants were sent flying. However, without missing a beat, they both charged back in with their swords, tearing through the fabric of space itself. This sudden and intense battle was one that neither side wished to drag out. Both Jiang Chengquan and Jiang Zun aimed to resolve it as quickly as possible, so they wouldn't waste any time searching for treasure. This, in fact, benefited Jiang Zun. In such a head-on clash, sword cultivators always had the upper hand. Celestial sword descends. In the next instant, Jiang Zun roared, his celestial sword emanating a powerful aura. From several points in the sky, celestial light erupted. Then 4 immense celestial swords appeared from thin air, radiating destruction, and charged toward Jiang Chengquan. These celestial swords contained formidable power. They were unique techniques of the Tianjin immortal sect, formed through the power to communicate with the heavens and the earth. This was just a probing attack, and Jiang Zun had already revealed his trump card. 9 mystical Bodhi Lotus Lamp, activate. Feeling the overwhelming pressure, Jiang Chengquan did not hesitate. He summoned one of his own trump cards. A 9-colored immortal lotus bloomed within the Xuanji, and an endless flow of immortal power poured into his body, instantly raising his aura to the peak of Xuanji. Without waiting for Jiang Zun to react, Jiang Chengquan's wings of divine light, formed from the scriptures of the 10,000 ages, flapped powerfully, and he soared into the sky, breaking through the celestial sword blockade. Slash. At this point, words were unnecessary. Jiang Chengquan swung his Teichu Hongmeng sword, and the golden celestial light blazed, immediately turning defense into offense, taking the initiative. The full power of his Xuanji shook Jiang Zun, but before he could react, Jiang Chengquan had already arrived. The terrifying celestial light cut through the layers of celestial swords, chilling Jiang Zun to the bone. However, as one of the Tianjin immortal sect's grand elders, Jiang Zun was no stranger to battle. His initial panic was suppressed by a calm, steady breath. Drawing upon the power of his Xuanji, he did not retreat but advanced, transforming into a stream of light and charging toward Jiang Chengquan. Boom! What seemed like a long battle had actually taken place in the blink of an eye. In the brief moments since the two began their confrontation, Jiang Chengquan, with his perfect Xuanji aura, struck a blow that created an explosion powerful enough to ripple through the entire area. Although on the surface this was merely a duel, neither Jiang Chengquan nor Jiang Zun wished to lose. Both were determined to give their all, using every technique at their disposal until the other was convinced. Slash. In the midst of the battlefield, Jiang Chengquan's first strike landed successfully, but he did not stop. His second sword followed swiftly, leaving behind a trail of afterimages as it cleaved through the chaotic storm. Chapter 1790. Mission halfway, reuniting with an old friend. Such fast reactions. In the battlefield, the impending battle was growing more intense. The sword master of the proud sword, Zun, gradually began to feel immense pressure. At the moment of collision, he used a secret technique, making himself one with the sword, and swapped his position with the heavenly sword to block Jiang Chengquan's powerful strike. However, as soon as he landed on the other side beneath the heavens, Jiang Chengquan's Teichu Hongmeng sword was already cutting through the air once again. The brief consecutive strikes were still terrifying, leaving him with only a tiny fraction of time to react. Although he had anticipated Jiang Chengquan's strength, it was only now that Zun realized he had still underestimated his opponent. In the blink of an eye, he forcefully held back a breath, his immortal power burning fiercely in his chest. He swung both arms, and 3 heavenly swords appeared at his side, slashing toward Jiang Chengquan. At that moment, the true clash of their killing techniques began. The shocking aftermath of destruction reverberated, causing the void to crack, the heavens and earth flickering, and the sword light to weave through the space. This collision was devoid of any unnecessary movements. It was pure power clashing head-on. However, under the enhancement of the 9-wonder Bodhi Lotus Lamp, Jiang Chengquan's power was far beyond what Zun could match. Boom! In the midst of the exploding chaos, the two of them held their ground, but after a while, Jiang Chengquan's immortal power began to eat away at the void inch by inch, suppressing Zun's momentum. Facing the threat of the 3 heavenly swords, Jiang Chengquan only needed the Teichu Hongmeng sword to counter them. With a sharp look in his eyes, the Teichu Hongmeng aura split the skies, slowly suppressing Zun's resolve. Soon, the thunder and roars that shook the heavens rang out, and Zun's figure was sent flying backward. The 3 heavenly swords, formed from mysterious forces, were swept away by Jiang Chengxuan's sword, flying into the surrounding heavens. Without a doubt, the gap between the two had already become apparent with this clash. But Xuanzun, the sword master, could not accept such a defeat. In the next moment he recovered from his previous setback. His eyes shone with immortal light as he formed numerous seals. Behind him, the mysterious realm rumbled and surged, releasing ripples and energy waves. Next, two more heavenly swords appeared out of thin air, exuding overwhelming sword intent that pressed forward. Take this strike. With a roar, the 6 heavenly swords scattered across the sky, attacking from all directions, each carrying its own Tao principles and destructive power. However, even in the face of such a perilous moment, Jiang Chengxuan remained calm and composed. Carrying the 9-colored divine lotus on his back, he recited a mantra, transforming the light wings behind him into a sky full of the sacred texts of eternal illumination. Golden symbols formed a starry pattern, all converging onto the Teichu Hengmeng sword, causing the area to glow with the brilliance of a golden sun. The sacred power soared toward the heavens. Boom! Under Xuanzun's astonished gaze, Jiang Chengxuan didn't retreat a single step. With absolute determination, he met the strike head-on. As the 6 heavenly swords descended, he first sank down, then shot upward, colliding with the sword blades. This audacious move made even the prideful Xuanzun's heart tremble. He couldn't help but exclaim, "What courage!" But even with Jiang Chengxuan's bravery, he would not show mercy. All his strength poured into the heavenly swords as he sought to determine the victor. This was the proud spirit of the sword cultivators of the heavenly sword sect. Boom! Under their full strength, the clashes created a series of thunderous explosions, like stars erupting one after another. The entire world seemed to be enveloped by divine light, with chaos spreading and filling every inch of the void. After a while, when the destruction subsided, the two figures of Jiang Chengxuan and Xuanzun reappeared in the now desolate space. However, this time, they both put away their terrifying intent to devour their opponent, standing with hands clasped behind their backs in the void as though the fierce battle they just fought was not theirs. "I admit defeat. You indeed have great strength." After a long silence, Xuanzun sighed and slowly spoke. "Thank you for your hospitality." Jiang Chengxuan returned the salute with a calm expression, his demeanor unchanged. The result of this contest was now clear. With Xuanzun's admission of defeat, Jiang Chengxuan secured the right to continue exploring this treasure land. Looking at Jiang Chengxuan's composed attitude, Xuanzun couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Though this young man was still so young, his strength was far beyond his own. It was truly remarkable. This battle, though brief, had revealed Jiang Chengxuan's overwhelming strength. He had shown all his techniques and methods, leaving little doubt about his capabilities. Of course, there were still trump cards he hadn't revealed, but who could say for sure if Jiang Chengxuan had any more hidden? Thus, when it came to this duel, Xuanzun wisely chose to admit defeat. "Farewell." With those light words, Xuanzun left as quickly as he had come, not lingering even a moment, immediately turning and departing. With that, the world returned to calm, and the brief skirmish came to an end. Even Jiang Chengxuan, who had won, stood in place for a moment before realizing what had happened. He turned and went back to deal with the restriction, continuing his struggle against it. Time passed, and after spending several more days in the treasure land, Jiang Chengxuan skillfully navigated through the area, collecting the remaining immortal treasures and emptying the place. Chapter 1791, Mission Halfway, Reunion with an Old Friend. Acquiring 10 Xianxian-level treasures, current progress 80%. Looking at the information in his mind, Jiang Chengxuan couldn't help but smile with satisfaction. In the distance, the heavenly light barrier had calmed down, no longer as violent, and Jiang Chengxuan was only 2 treasures away from completing the system's task. However, he didn't rush. Instead, he chose to first take stock of his gains and recover from the exhaustion caused by the battle. Among the 8 Xianxian-level treasures he had already collected, the first was the Sunset Chuanyue Pill, and the second was the Wind Realm Primordial Shadow Divine Ability. Using the power of the Xuan Realm to suppress the void, Jiang Chengxuan sat cross-legged and impatiently summoned 6 glowing orbs, which he floated in front of him with a wave of his hand. The 6 orbs aligned like 6 stars in a row, exuding a mysterious aura, each one representing a different Xianxian-level treasure. Taking a deep breath, Jiang Chengxuan extended a finger, gathering his immortal power as he began to unravel the first orb. As the glow receded, a dazzling treasure emerged from within. This is. As the radiant light subsided, Jiang Chengxuan saw a crystalline stone marrow with star-like dust sprinkled inside, containing a deep, cosmic Tao intent, a rare material for refining weapons. After observing for a while, Jiang Chengxuan realized he had never encountered this material before. From its nature, he could tell it was used for forging, potentially adding a cosmic aura to a celestial weapon. After all, many of these treasures came from ancient times and were not even recorded in ancient texts. Jiang Chengxuan hadn't heard of it, which was perfectly normal. In any case, this was undoubtedly a Xianxian-level treasure. After verifying its authenticity, Jiang Chengxuan stored it in his collection. Without hesitation, he pointed to the second orb. Immense immortal power surged again, unraveling the orb to reveal another treasure. This time Jiang Chengxuan's eyes lit up. It was a flower, ethereal and shimmering, resembling an elongated galaxy. Universal immortal flower. Jiang Chengxuan instantly recognized the treasure, his heart filled with excitement. This was an incredibly rare immortal material. If combined with an immortal king's pill, it could help someone break through to the golden immortal realm. With the path to breaking through the golden immortal realm made easier, Jiang Chengxuan was understandably thrilled. But quickly, he pushed aside his excitement, nodding in satisfaction before storing the flower away. Time was tight, and he couldn't afford to waste too much. He briefly celebrated his find and moved on to the third orb. This time, as the immortal light dissipated, Jiang Chengxuan saw something familiar, a fragment of the Xuan realm. It was a bit weaker than the fragment he had absorbed before, but it was still a valuable treasure. With this, Shen Ruyan's breakthrough to the Xianxian realm was all but guaranteed. With 2 Xuan realm fragments, the probability of breaking through to the Xianxian realm was maximized. Truly grand treasures, the ancient golden immortal surely left behind some incredible items. Jiang Chengxuan couldn't help but sigh with emotion, a smile spreading across his face. No matter what, this trip had been worthwhile. Whether it was his own breakthrough to the golden immortal realm or Shen Ruyan's to the Xianxian realm, both seemed almost assured. Without further delay, he quickly opened the remaining orbs, collecting several more precious immortal materials and pills, storing them in his collection. After a brief rest, Jiang Chengxuan felt fully rejuvenated and his immortal power was restored. He then looked up at the distant sky and began searching for the next treasure. Let's go. The next moment, he chose the area with the most intense celestial light and dashed off, vanishing into a streak of immortal light. At his level of cultivation, distances of hundreds or even thousands of miles were traversed in an instant, and Jiang Chengxuan soon sensed the presence of the barrier. However, as he neared, his gaze suddenly sharpened, a trace of surprise flickering in his eyes. He stopped in his tracks and concealed his presence. Within the barrier's power, he detected several familiar forces. Hey, what a coincidence! Jiang Chengxuan chuckled coldly to himself, his eyes flashing with a cold light. The next moment, he concealed his aura and silently approached the barrier where the familiar presence was located. Push harder, suppress the barrier. We're getting 2 treasures. Haha, our luck is amazing. As Jiang Chengxuan drew closer, he heard several familiar voices hidden within the churning celestial light, tinged with excitement. When he got closer, Jiang Chengxuan's gaze sharpened as he saw 2 figures, Beast Hidden Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghost Demon Lord, engaged in a fierce struggle with the barrier's power. It was clear that they were once again a part of his fateful encounters. This marked their 4th meeting, and no wonder Jiang Chengxuan muttered to himself that his enemies were always just around the corner. Looking at the figures within the vast demonic energy ahead, a cold smile appeared on Jiang Chengxuan's lips. However, he didn't act immediately. He remained hidden and waited. Boom! Unaware of the impending danger, the Beast Hidden Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghost Demon Lord unleashed their full strength, battling the raging barrier's power in an attempt to seize the treasure inside. Before them stood a phoenix formed from Xuan power, its body ablaze with the barrier's energy, casting a shadow over the sky, its silent majesty radiating power. Inside its eyes, 2 brilliant orbs of light, the treasures were hidden. The battle in the void intensified, with the barrier's energy manifesting as flames, sweeping into a storm. The 2 demon lords summoned fierce beasts and evil spirits to engage the phoenix in a battle, causing explosive sounds and chaos to erupt. The barrier phoenix was powerful, surpassing the average later-stage Xianxian in strength, but under the combined assault of the beast hidden demon lord and 10,000 ghost demon lord, it showed signs of weakness. This was exactly why Jiang Chengxuan had chosen to wait. He could already tell that, in no time, the two demon lords would overpower the barrier phoenix. At this point, Jiang Chengxuan had no intention of directly intervening, but planned to reap the benefits of the situation like a cunning predator waiting for the right moment. 10,000 ghost heart devouring. 10,000 beasts swallowing the sky. Just as Jiang Chengxuan had predicted, the battle raged on, with demonic shadows and fierce flames everywhere. After a few clashes, the two demon lords simultaneously unleashed their divine abilities, seizing an opening and delivering a terrifying blow. Cry! The strike landed on the barrier phoenix, causing it to let out a mournful cry. Instantly, the flames dissipated, and an overwhelming wave of demonic energy consumed it, eroding the remaining power of the barrier. Boom! The barrier phoenix fell, shaking the void with its collapse. Seeing this, the beast-hidden demon lord and 10,000 ghost demon lord both revealed expressions of joy and let out long sighs. We've finally suppressed this abomination. It's fine. Once we get the treasures, all our efforts won't have been in vain. As the barrier was broken, the two treasure-laden orbs flew out, and the two demon lords grinned maliciously. Their previous defeat still haunted them, so they were collecting treasures in hopes that the ancient blood demon immortal would show them mercy and go easy on them. Chapter 1792, Suppressing Two Devils, A Strange Feeling. 1-1. As the phoenix of the restriction completely faded, turning into countless light particles, two glowing orbs containing treasures buzzed and flew out, appearing in the void. Seeing this, beast-hidden demon lord and 10,000 ghosts demon lord both revealed greedy expressions. With a wave of their withered hands, a surge of demonic energy swept through the area, surrounding the two brilliant orbs, attempting to claim them. Although this wouldn't completely quell the fury of the bloodthirsty demon immortal, it would at least serve to ease some of their fears. However, just as beast-hidden demon lord and 10,000 ghosts demon lord were lost in their thoughts, an unexpected surge of celestial energy suddenly shot out from the side, sweeping toward the two orbs. This power was incredibly powerful and swift. Before beast-hidden demon lord and 10,000 ghosts demon lord could react, the demonic energy binding the orbs was instantly shattered. Then, like a gust of wind, the force swept the treasures away in another direction. Damn it, who dares to stir up trouble on my turf? Who dares to act so recklessly? Are they looking for death? This scene undoubtedly enraged beast-hidden demon lord and 10,000 ghosts demon lord. They froze for a moment, then their eyes widened in fury, cursing loudly. Clearly, someone had attempted to steal the fruits of their hard work. As the grand elders of the bloodthirsty sect, when had they ever suffered such a humiliation? But then, as a voice came from the distance, a strange sense of familiarity hit them, like a cold bucket of water being poured into their hearts. Instantly, beast-hidden demon lord and 10,000 ghosts demon lord both shivered, their bodies tensing in reaction. They instinctively became calm, as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. Hee, since it's now in my hands, it belongs to me. Do you have any objections? With that mocking voice, a figure slowly appeared, wearing a cold smile and fierce eyes. It was none other than their old enemy, Jiang Chengxuan. In an instant, beast-hidden demon lord and 10,000 ghosts demon lord were stunned, rendered speechless. The moment they saw Jiang Chengxuan, their legs trembled and their hair stood on end. After their failed attempt to kill Jiang Chengxuan the last time, he had left a deep shadow in their hearts. To them, Jiang Chengxuan had become an inescapable nightmare. The entire world seemed to fall silent at Jiang Chengxuan's appearance. The three of them faced each other in the void, one cold, the other filled with fear. After a long silence, beast-hidden demon lord gritted his teeth and yelled at Jiang Chengxuan's position. Jiang, don't push me too far. However, compared to before, his expression was fiercer but lacked the previous ruthlessness. This treasure was hard-earned by both of us. You've stolen it, and you still have the audacity to act shamelessly. At this, 10,000 ghosts demon lord's face also stiffened, joining in the cursing against Jiang Chengxuan. However, when Jiang Chengxuan heard their words, he simply laughed loudly. His laughter echoed through the void, like thunderclaps shaking the hearts of beast-hidden demon lord and 10,000 ghosts demon lord. After a moment, when Jiang Chengxuan had laughed enough, he finally stopped and said calmly, "You've tried to scheme against me time and time again, and now you want to lecture me on morals. Truly laughable. Today, not only is this treasure mine, but you two aren't going anywhere either." With a sharp change in tone, his words carried a murderous intent and an overwhelming pressure, shaking the void, causing Beast Hidden Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord to widen their eyes in shock. "Brat, how dare you talk so arrogantly? You're courting death." But how could Beast Hidden Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord accept such domineering words from Jiang Chengxuan, who they had always looked down upon? Reacting quickly, Beast Hidden Demon Lord cursed loudly, his body trembling with fury. "One." However, this time, Jiang Chengxuan had no intention of wasting words with them. His brows furrowed, and with a strange hum, his celestial realm manifested, expanding rapidly. The terrifying aura of a late-stage celestial immortal filled the void, whipping up strong winds. Seeing this, both Beast Hidden Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord were immediately thrown into a panic. They hastily activated their celestial powers and summoned their own realms, spreading out vast demonic energy across the sky. Boom! In an instant, the two forces collided, sending shockwaves that trembled the sky within 100 miles. Celestial energy surged everywhere. Facing his previous subordinates, Jiang Chengxuan was naturally not going to waste any more time with them. Since he had already reaped the two treasures, there was no need to linger. 10,000 Ages Divine Text Invoke. Primordial Chaos Sword Slay. In the next moment, golden light erupted, and purple rays shot forth. Countless golden symbols emerged from Jiang Chengxuan's realm, transforming into invisible chains. At the same time, the primordial chaos sword pierced through the chaos, with numerous chains entwining it, bestowing upon it an immense power. Without hesitation, Jiang Chengxuan directed the purple-golden sword to form a river of light that split the entire sky, slashing toward Beast Hidden Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord. The battle was about to begin, but Beast Hidden Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord were filled with both anger and fear. After their previous defeat, they had already acknowledged that no matter what, they were no match for Jiang Chengxuan. Now, facing him once again, they had long wanted to flee. However, thinking about how the two celestial treasures they had obtained were now taken by Jiang Chengxuan, and recalling the whereabouts of the Mad Blade Demon Lord, they reluctantly steeled themselves for another fight. Chapter 1793, Suppression of Two Demons, Strange Feeling Part 2. Otherwise, if the news of their retreat without a fight spreads in the future, how will they continue to survive in the ancient realm? At worst, they could escape once they see Jiang Chengxuan summon the golden immortal's treasure. HMPH, arrogant little brat. With this thought in mind, Beast Kang Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord exchanged glances and simultaneously firmed their resolve. As they watched the Tai Kai Hung Meng sword transform into the Milky Way and slash down, they too summoned their immortal treasures, stirring up demonic energy. 10,000 ghosts devouring the heart. 10,000 beasts devouring the sky. In an instant, Beast Kang Demon Lord shook an ancient bell, and a sea of beasts surged from the demonic energy, rushing forth like a tidal wave. An ancient and terrifying beast, towering and roaring, tore through the heavens and earth in its wake. Meanwhile, 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord waved a soul banner, summoning countless ghosts and evil spirits, which leaped up and transformed into a torrent to attack. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the powers of three late-stage immortals collided and exploded together. The terrifying explosions engulfed the sky and trembled the land for hundreds of miles, causing the space to shatter inch by inch. But even amid this chaos, Jiang Chengxuan, as expected, suppressed the combined forces of Beast Kang Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord with ease. His strength already surpassed theirs, and with the addition of two peak-level immortal treasures, the combat power he could unleash was beyond imagination. Boom, 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 boom. The initial collision was merely the start of the battle. In the rising chaos, Jiang Chengxuan launched an aggressive onslaught. The Tai Kai Hung Meng sword became a twisting, blazing river of the heavens, weaving through the broken void and attacking from various angles at Beast Kang Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord. The overwhelming demonic energy, under the holy and divine power of the 10,000 Worlds Manifestation Scripture, melted away like snow, easily eradicating any resistance. After just a few exchanges, Countless beasts and evil spirits were turned to pieces by Jiang Chengxuan's strikes. The Tai Kai Hengmeng sword cut through the air as if it were an untouched realm, inch by inch slaughtering the powers of Beast Kang Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord. After just a few rounds, Beast Kang Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord were already struggling, feeling enormous pressure. Repeated attacks were quickly suppressed by Jiang Chengxuan, forcing them to retreat. As renowned demon lords of the blood-drenched sect, it was unimaginable that they would be suppressed by a cultivator of the same rank. But Jiang Chengxuan was an existence that defied common sense. Single-handedly, he was not only holding his ground but taking absolute control of the battle. In the void, the chaos surged even more fiercely. Sword lights cleaved the sky, shattering the demonic energy. The colossal beast roared, spitting fiery demonic flames toward Jiang Chengxuan, but he sliced it in half with a single strike, splitting it in two. Then the Tai Kai Hengmeng light blazed fiercely, growing more intense, as Jiang Chengxuan's terrifying celestial power transformed it into a great purple-gold sun, unyielding in its momentum, still heading straight toward the beast. Roar! In an instant, the sword's might was so astonishing that it was impossible to evade. Beast Kang Demon Lord was shaken, only able to continuously activate the ancient bell in his hand, trying to summon his immortal domain and demonic energy to resist. Boom, boom, boom. However, the force of this strike surpassed his expectations. The combined assault with the beast was directly pierced through and fell onto the beast's shoulder. Whoosh! An explosion of golden light erupted, and the power of the restriction surged upward. Under this power, the beast's massive arm was severed by Jiang Chengxuan's Tai Kai Hengmeng sword, black blood gushing out like a waterfall from the sky. The intense pain made the beast howl in agony, its miserable roars shaking the heavens and earth. Beast Kang Demon Lord's heart was filled with sorrow, and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord's heart turned cold. It was as if the sight of this beast's current condition made them foresee their own tragic fate. At this moment, their fighting spirit had been nearly extinguished. Both of them wanted to scream and flee, but thinking about the whereabouts of the frenzied Blade Demon Lord, they could only keep psyching themselves up to maintain their resolve. How dare you! Despite their repeated retreats, Beast Kang Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord burned their demonic energy and resisted Jiang Chengxuan's suppression in wave after wave, trying to turn the tide. Their tenacity left Jiang Chengxuan somewhat stunned. He had always thought that these demonic cultivators were weak in front of strength, cowardly, and afraid of death. Yet despite being continuously suppressed, Beast Kang Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord didn't give up, which was incredibly rare. This made Jiang Chengxuan furrow his brow, and an odd sense of unease surfaced in his heart. He couldn't help but wonder if they still had something that could threaten him. But even as he thought this, Jiang Chengxuan's offensive didn't weaken at all. His Tai Kai Hengmeng sword grew more ferocious, breaking through the defenses of Beast Kang Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord, leaving injuries on them. This battle, from the start to when Beast Kang Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord were wounded, hadn't taken much time. From beginning to end, the situation had never favored them. However, despite this, Jiang Chengxuan's strange feeling did not dissipate. On the contrary, it intensified over time, becoming more pronounced. This made Jiang Chengxuan's heart skip a beat, and he began to think of a certain possibility. Could it be that the thing that posed a threat to him was not on them, but related to them? This could explain the strange sensation. Beast Kang 10,000 Ghosts, what's going on? Just as Jiang Chengxuan's thoughts were running wild, a figure filled with tremendous demonic energy appeared from the distant horizon, and a furious shout rang out. Hearing this, Jiang Chengxuan, Beast Kang Demon Lord, and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord all turned to look. The blood-colored light flashed briefly, revealing the last grand elder of the blood-drenched sect, Frenzied Blade Demon Lord. Soon he saw Jiang Chengxuan, and his expression froze, a look of fear rising in his eyes. Evidently, he had rushed over in haste and did not expect to encounter his nemesis, Jiang Chengxuan, here while fighting with his two fellow disciples. Could it be him? Jiang Chengxuan ignored the sudden arrival of another familiar face. His eyes narrowed, but then he shook his head. It was impossible. Even with Frenzied Blade Demon Lord added in, the three of them wouldn't be able to pose a threat to him. Frenzied Blade, what's the situation? At this moment, there was a brief moment of respite in the battle. Beast Kang Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord, both heavily injured, quickly seized the opportunity to retreat. In this moment of crisis, when they saw Frenzied Blade Demon Lord, a glimmer of hope appeared in their eyes. When they asked him about the situation, Frenzied Blade Demon Lord nodded, his expression filled with excitement. "Ha ha ha, Jiang Chengxuan, how dare you be so arrogant and bully my blood-drenched sect? Today is your death day." He immediately crossed over Beast Kang Demon Lord and 10,000 Ghosts Demon Lord and pointed at Jiang Chengxuan, grinning wickedly with his eyes bloodshot. Upon hearing this, Jiang Chengxuan could almost confirm his suspicions. His expression remained cold, and he did not say much. "HMPH, you've gone too far, boy, you are not worthy of living." Sure enough, at that moment, a booming voice suddenly rang from afar, as if coming from all directions. A tremendous pressure immediately filled the air, occupying the entire sky and earth, causing the surging chaos to fall silent. This voice made Jiang Chengxuan's heart sink, as it felt somewhat familiar. Its owner had tried to take advantage of his arrival at the ancient Golden Immortal's cave earlier, intending to take action against him. Soon, as expected, the figure appeared slowly in the sky above, and the demonic energy spread, consuming everything within 100 miles and plunging it into darkness. Chapter 1794. The Blood-Ruined Demon Immortal, the might of a Golden Immortal One. In the distance, a demonic sound echoed, as if a demon god was descending upon this realm. In the blink of an eye, the entire world was plunged into darkness, with demonic energy rising and filling every inch of the void. For a moment, Jiang Chengxuan's expression grew serious, his eyes fixed on the source of the disturbance. He saw a shadow above the three demon lords of the blood-ruined sect, slowly emerging, accompanied by boundless demonic light. Silent and unseen, even Jiang Chengxuan did not notice when it appeared, as though it had always been there, blending perfectly with the world. What was even more terrifying was the immense pressure it exuded, as if it were the ruler of the world. The entire universe seemed to move according to its will, every action and gesture capable of affecting all things. Even Jiang Chengxuan, under this immense pressure, felt his heart tighten, and the flow of his immortal energy became sluggish. Undoubtedly, in this ancient golden immortal cave, the only beings who could make Jiang Chengxuan feel this way were four in total. At this moment, standing beside the three demon lords of the blood-ruined sect was one of them. It was precisely because this being could appear at any time that Jiang Chengxuan had always felt a strange sense of unease. This being's name was on the tip of his tongue. It was none other than the golden immortal patriarch of the blood-ruined sect, the blood-ruined demon immortal. Jiang Chengxuan didn't know what had happened in the battle for the golden immortal, but at this moment, the blood-ruined demon immortal had been summoned by the mad blade demon lord and had appeared here. I wondered who it was. So, it is the arrival of the demon immortal. In the tense atmosphere, the three demon lords of the blood-ruined sect sneered cruelly. Jiang Chengxuan remained silent for a moment before responding to the enraged blood-ruined demon immortal, his voice unexpectedly calm. It was as though the terrifying pressure squeezing the surrounding space didn't exist at all. Upon seeing this, even the blood-ruined demon immortal couldn't help but frown deeply. His gaze sharpened, and he once again spoke fiercely, coldly stating, "You've repeatedly offended my blood-ruined sect, killing my disciples. Did you ever think about today? I will soon turn you into a puppet, refine your soul, and make you suffer for millennia." As soon as the words left his mouth, the demonic energy in the void surged even more, darkness churned, and the entire world was thrown into turmoil. The space in all directions twisted under the pressure, squeezing toward Jiang Chengxuan. However, Jiang Chengxuan's eyes remained sharp and fearless. His figure stood firm, his internal energy gathering, suppressing his surroundings with the power of the Xuan realm, resisting the omnipresent pressure. He understood that the blood-ruined demon immortal was attempting to intimidate him, trying to suppress him with sheer force and make him surrender without a fight. Yet even with a golden immortal descending, Jiang Chengxuan would not be so easily subdued. In an instant, the pressure in the void intensified, but Jiang Chengxuan did not retreat a single step. He faced the blood-ruined demon immortal head-on, his gaze unwavering. Even as the surrounding space crumbled under the invisible pressure and darkness relentlessly encroached upon him, Jiang Chengxuan stood tall, a beacon of light in the midst of the darkness. Hello? At this, the blood-ruined demon immortal furrowed his brow once more, a chill running through his heart. After advancing to the golden immortal realm, he viewed all beings below this level as insignificant ants, easily crushed with a single hand. Yet now, under his golden immortal pressure, Jiang Chengxuan showed no sign of yielding. This ignited an unnamed fury within the blood-ruined demon immortal's heart. It seemed as though Jiang Chengxuan was mocking him. Could it be that, with his cultivation, he was still being looked down upon by a mere junior? Originally, upon hearing the Mad Blade Demon Lord's apology, he had already been aware of the failure of the scheme involving Yun Zhuang, which had left him in a state of fury. That should have been a major blow to the Yunlan immortal sect, but it had been thwarted by Jiang Chengxuan. Now, with Jiang Chengxuan standing unyielding before him, the blood-ruined demon immortal's anger toward him reached a boiling point. "You don't know the heavens from the earth, brat, and you dare to resist." With a roar, the blood-ruined demon immortal could no longer hold back. He struck with his palm toward Jiang Chengxuan. In an instant on the pitch-black sky, a phantom of the universe slowly emerged. Galaxies revolved gently, stars scattered across the void, and various radiant lights shimmered with an awe-inspiring, majestic presence. This was the power that only a golden immortal could command, a true universe in its grasp. The blood-ruined demon immortal's seemingly simple palm carried with it the force of an entire universe. The overwhelming and terrifying aura was so potent that even the three demon lords of the blood-ruined sect, hiding behind the blood-ruined demon immortal, were nearly suffocated. Facing this strike from the golden immortal, Jiang Chengxuan felt an immense threat. He looked up, and before him, it was as though the entire universe had descended upon him, with layers upon layers of celestial light converging, threatening to destroy the world in an instant, ready to explode. Although this was not Jiang Chengxuan's first time witnessing a golden immortal strike, it was the first time he had directly faced one. It was at this moment that Jiang Chengxuan truly understood the difference between the hand and the power of a golden immortal. The talismans created by golden immortals only contained immense power, and their effects were far inferior to the actions of a true golden immortal. While the talismans unleashed only raw power, like a war chariot charging forward without a driver, the golden immortals' actions were different. They imbued their terrifying strength with purpose, capable of changing and countering the enemy's methods. The accompanying overwhelming pressure further refined the force, making it more precise and deadly. As soon as the blood-ruined demon immortal made his move, the battle reached a new level.